Good evening and welcome to this Toon Army TV Friday Night Live. This is your chance to have your say. I will answer any questions that you may have regarding Newcastle United, football. You might even want to chat about other things as well outside of football. You might want to talk about the channel. You might want to talk about me. I will warn you, any personal questions may not get read out due to all safety and whatnot. But this is a replacement video due to the fact that I was meant to do an Aston Villa watch-along tonight, but the game got called off at Villa Park on Tuesday afternoon because a few Newcastle players and staff caught you-know-what. And in that replacement, we'll have this video, which is basically a Q&A. You can ask me anything you like from Newcastle, football, or anything that you may have that you want to get off your chest. And I'll be going live for an hour or so. If I get more questions in, I may even go live longer, but if I don't, then I will call it early. So this is your chance to fire any questions away that you may have towards me, and I will answer them to my best of my ability. And if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and yeah, first and foremost, most importantly, drop your comments down below. So I'll just wait for a few you people to join the live stream, and then you can ask us a few questions that you may have. So I'll just put before we get the comments in, there we go. Please subscribe if you're new. Okay, so we've got a comment coming in, and it's a very basic one. It's from Jason. Evening, buddy. How are you keeping? I'm keeping all right, thanks. How are you keeping yourself? It's just gut-wrenching that we can't have a match tonight away at Aston Villa, but listen, health and safety is more important than a game of football. It just gives the lads that extra time now to recover, and we'll move on to West Brom, fingers crossed, next weekend. Another winnable game. And just off that win against Crystal Palace, you want another game to come thick and fast, but sometimes it's just not meant to be. And yeah, this is not the sort of video I really wanted to do, maybe later on in the season, but because there's nothing else to do over the weekend in terms of Newcastle, you know, why not just do a Q&A? This is one from JustBoy15. What is your favourite game you have been to? I've been to a few, to be fair. I went to the one against Everton, where Shearer scored. I've been to a few in the old UEFA Cup. I remember that one against AZ at Alkmaar was a bit of a disappointing one. I went to a few back in the day in the Championship. Also Premier League 4-4 under Alan Pardew, a game which we could have won. You know, being 4-0 down at half time to manage to pull that back, you know, the 4-4 was just remarkable. And just looking back at that game, if only Nolan's shot didn't go agonisingly wide, we could have actually got that win. So, yeah, there's a few. I mean, even in the Championship, I did miss the one game against Norwich where we beat them 4-3. We managed to turn that game around. Just my luck. But, yeah, I've been to a few. I mean, obviously Sunderland games and 5-1. That was a remarkable game. Obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, many more to come when the lockdown is over. So, yes, that's a favourite game. Do you know what? I don't know. I think it's a difficult one. I don't really have a favourite game. There's too many, if you know what I'm saying. Crazy Ginger Jack Holden says, "Hello, Sharky. How you doing, mate? Hope you're keeping well." Mine is the 2-1 versus Manchester City in 2019, or the 3-2 versus Everton as well. I have to say, after the Man City game was pretty good, because the fact we fell behind, you know, after only 24 seconds, I'm thinking we're going to get pummeled like 6 or 7-0. And you're talking maybe by half time, Man City with the squad that they've got. But then I think under Rafa Benitez, he had the team organised, well structured. The players knew what they were doing. And I kind of had that belief and trust that if we actually got back into the game, which we did do, you know, at 1-1, we had that chance of potentially just scoring that unlikely winner, and we did. And we took both goals very well. Question from the same person. Favourite Toon player besides Shearer? Oof. Well, I wasn't born to see Tino, but he was a fantastic player back in the day. Obviously, Shearer's your number one choice, but if you're saying besides him, that's a difficult one because we've had some decent players over my time of watching Newcastle. I remember the likes of Obafemi Martins, Papi Cisse, Demba Ba. I've watched Johan Cabaye, Ben Arthur, Peter Lovenkrands, Jonas Gutierrez. There's quite a lot in there, to be fair. If I was to pick one player that I liked, bar Shearer, next in line, for me, it had to be Kevin Nolan for not only being a great captain, but just being a great player on and off the pitch. Just took to the fans very quickly, and he stayed with us when we got relegated as well to the Championship in 9-10. And it was important to keep somebody like Kevin Nolan, back in the side in order to get back into the Premier League for the season after. And we needed players who had experience, who weren't going to mess around and play for the badge. And Kevin Nolan did that, in his time at Newcastle. Just sad the way it ended, but then what's changed under Mike Ashley's ownership. So yeah, it has to be Kevin Nolan for me. Just Boy 15 has asked your favourite player this season. I've just been thinking about that this afternoon, and it has to be quite obvious, Callum Wilson, because he's managed to score 7 goals in 9 appearances, and he's been injured for 2 of the games. If he was fully fit against Southampton, he may have bagged one, and you could argue the same against Chelsea. For the money that were paid for him, 20 million quid from Bournemouth, an absolute steal. He's definitely been worth the money. You could argue that he should be the number 9, in my opinion, rather than Joelinton. Not picking on him. I just think Callum Wilson is a better all-round striker. He'll get you the goals that you need. And he said when signing for the club, he wanted to get double figures. And he's on course to doing that. He's only a couple of goals away. But he's the type of player, if you give him the service, he can get 15, 20 goals a season. And he's really taken, to the club, to the manager who's currently there, Steve Bruce. And you have to say that there's more to come from Callum Wilson. I do believe that he will get better as the fans come back into the stadium. He scored a few at the Gallagher already, but imagine how he's going to be feeling when he scores at the Gallagher when the fans go back in. It's going to be a special moment for him. So long may it continue, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he continues to bang in the goals and he stays injury-free. One from Jason again. You get the lads for one game, just you. What do you say to them, and can be as aggressive as you like to give them the kick up the arse they need? Basically, just go out there and give your absolute all for the fans, give your all for the badge. Don't mess around. Be very aware of what you're doing, on and off the ball. Don't be so sloppy, and try and work hard for one another. At the end of the day, you're a team, and if you want to get the results that you want, then you have to be on it all the time. You can't afford to switch off, in this Premier League. And I felt like even with 5 at the back, you shouldn't really be conceding that many goals, and we still do. It's all down to, not focusing on the game. I think that's the most important thing. Real Tour fan says, hi James, how's it going, mate? Hope you're keeping well. By the way, guys, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Crazy Ginger Jake Holden says Callum Wilson easily. Yep, I agree with that. Jason says Bellamy was one of my favourites. I know he got a lot of stick, but come on, him and Shearer partnership was lethal and he scored goals. The thing with Craig Bellamy, he always had a bit of an ego problem, an attitude problem, but I couldn't deny his workmanlike performance on the pitch, not only for Newcastle, but for all the other clubs, that he played for, and he managed to, represent his country. And you can't play in front of a better striker than Shearer, and you would have learned so much from Shearer anyway. If only he didn't have that ego problem, I think he would have achieved a lot more at the Toon back in the day. I feel like he let a few players down, in my opinion, on the fans. Jonathan Greenwood, how's it going, mate? Hope you're keeping well. Would you take Perez on loan for the rest of the season? Now, I did watch your show last night, and my thoughts on Perez, a very good player, just turns up towards the end of the season in order to get a move. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't seem to turn up at the start of the season. I think if he'd done that throughout the whole time at Newcastle and performed throughout the whole season, I think we're finishing higher than what we do. In the league, we're definitely finishing higher than mid-table, put it that way, at least 8th, 9th, 10th. But the question is, would I take him back? Not really. I wasn't really disappointed to lose him, if I'm honest. I think taking the 30 million quid, for me, he was only a part and part player. Now, is he better than Joelinton? Of course he is, but then there's more to come, hopefully, fingers crossed, from Joelinton. So answering your question, I wouldn't personally take back Jose Perez on loan. I think we just need to keep with what we've got and maybe look elsewhere in the market. Real Tour fan said, what happened to you doing train spotting like you used to? Oh, yes, I did. It's just right now it's difficult with what's going on in life. The fact that there is a lot going on and there's a lot of restrictions out there, but that's not to say I won't be doing it in the future. If you haven't heard, I am into trains and railways and whatnot. PD Prodlock, friend of the channel, hope you're keeping well, mate. The worst goal you have ever seen the Toon concede? I would have to say all three against Sunderland in every single game I've watched. Very disappointing. You could argue the one that Sol Campbell conceded at Stoke. Yeah, it has to be the derby games. I think conceding 3 against Sunderland is an absolute crime. I mean, conceding 1 is bad enough, but conceding 3, come on, man. I mean, what's going on there? So it has to be the ones against Sunderland. I just think, given where they were in the table, and the fact that we were the sort of side that kept them up, more seasons, if not all of the seasons, until we went down, then they went down because they didn't have us to save them. Yeah, it has to be the derby for me. In the games that I watched, very, very poor, and must do better against Sunderland next time when we've got the derby. Crazy Ginger Jack Holden said, I would take Perez back because he's not at the later end of the season. But let's be honest, though, should you really go back, to players that represented the club? It all depends, really. I had nothing against Perez personally, but I just think we got the best out of him for how much we paid for him. We didn't pay a lot, let's be honest. And he was always going to move on. He had his intentions to go to Spain. Right now, he doesn't seem to be getting the game time at Leicester. And let's be honest, I can understand why he's way down the pecking order, because Leicester have got some good players. They've got a very well-drilled squad. They've got a manager there who knows what he's doing. And, when you got Vardy filing all cylinders, it's good. You need that sort of competition. And at Newcastle, I just didn't believe Perez had the competition. That's why at times he was so poor in matches. Whereas now, yes, he could probably just walk straight in the side because Joelinton's not performing. Yes, he got the goal against Crystal Palace, but if you look at the bigger picture, we're not really scoring enough goals. Yes, Callum Wilson is doing okay. You could argue the Callum Wilson-Perez partnership would be good, but then being realistic, would he improve our side? Right now, I don't know. It's a difficult one to say. I don't think I would take him back personally. I just believe there's always other strikers out there that could do a very similar job. If there's one striker I would love, to come back to Newcastle, it would be Rondon in a heartbeat. I don't agree with the policy at the club of signing players, under the age of 30. I understand if given youth a chance. I get that completely. But when you've got players playing at the age of 30 plus, like Jamie Vardy, just because they're old doesn't mean that they can't do it. If anything, they've got more experience. And Rondon proved it on loan from West Brom, what he could do in the Premier League. And, he scored the goals that got us to where we were, which was mid-table. Okay, they both got double figures, Perez and Rondon. But I just don't feel like Rondon got a fair deal at the club, in my opinion. I still think there's a lot more to come from him. And I don't think we'll ever see Rondon back now unless we have a change of ownership, unless we have a change of plan, strategy. I can't see it, unfortunately. But I just think we'll continue shopping in the market of buying on the cheap and then obviously selling on for more. Dino84 says, best ever moment as a Toon fan? Well, I haven't had many, to be fair, because we've always been mid-table or we've had a couple of relegations. Best moment for me has to be, promotion back to the Premier League. I mean, the way we did it first time of asking under Chris Hughton, Rafa Benitez era. 5-1 against Sunderland was a good one. I mean, that's got to be on the top, surely. 4-4 against Arsenal was a good one. Probably one of the best games I think I'd ever been to. Under Pardew, just would look like getting beat 8 or 9-0 by full time. Then all of a sudden 4-0 down half time. But get it to 4-4. We could have won the game. Let's be honest. Oh man, I have to say the 5-1 against Sunderland has to be the highlight moment for me. Just the fact of smashing them 5-1, but then we'll look at that now. We can't say the same thing anymore. But they're always good moments, and obviously, like I've mentioned before, you could talk about promotion to the Premier League. I mean, a club like Newcastle size should not be getting relegated, to the Championship. But then, we don't have a divine right to go back up. We've got to have the right team, and we've got to have the right managers. And Chris Hughton and Rafa Benitez both did excellent jobs, and we both had we had two decent sides, that got up. And you look at the sides that went down. For me, they were too good to go down. But they say, yeah, you can't win games on paper. You've got to deserve it. And both seasons were awful, especially under Steve McLaren. That was just horrendous. But it has to be the 5-1 against Sunderland, a one I'll never forget. And probably Arsenal's a close one up there as well. You could argue Europa League. I think Europa League was decent. If only we could have those days back on a Thursday night, playing Benfica. The Champions League nights, that would be great. But they're long into the future. But we need that takeover very, very soon. To anyone who's in the stream, make sure that you hit the like button, you subscribe, and you get your comments down below. We're just doing a bit of a Q&A, filling in for the Aston Villa watch-along, so you guys get to answer any questions. Sorry, I can answer your questions for anything on football, Newcastle, just anything that you want to talk about. Jason said, the one player you absolutely raged at the club when he was sold. Andy Carroll, for me, back in 2011. I wasn't happy with it. But then I look back at it now, it was probably a good move. The fact that we got 35 million quid for him, we invested a little bit of that money into the likes of Demba Ba and Papi Cisse, Cabaye, and we built a very good side under Alan Pardew. And then, of course, all good things come to an end. I have to say, Andy Carroll, just the fact when we got promoted from the Championship, he scored double figures. He was on form in the Premier League, and he was our go-to man for goals. And once we sold Andy Carroll and we didn't bring anybody in apart from Chef Dikuchi on loan, I wasn't happy at all. I was raging, and that was even worse. Like, nothing against Chef Dikuchi. It's not his fault. It's just replacing a young lad in Andy Carroll with Chef Dikuchi is not the way forward. And okay, fair enough, Leon Best and that stepped up. But imagine if we had kept Andy Carroll, we could have had a better season, rather than finishing mid-table. But, it's all ifs and buts. But then if you look at Carroll's career, he's never really done it. He's been injury-prone at Liverpool, West Ham, and obviously he's come full circle back to the Toon and rarely got a game. So, yeah, I am good for Andy Carroll because, you want the best for the lad. But then you're looking back at it then, one of your local lads, getting sold behind your back just for the sake of money for your owner. That wasn't great. Shearer's testimonial. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually there, but I did watch it on TV. It was a great occasion. Giving Shearer the send-off that he deserved. Great striker, an absolute legend of this football club. I don't think there'll be any striker that comes close to Shearer's goals. But if only we could have Alan Shearer back today with a Callum Wilson, partnership, it would be absolutely amazing. Lewis 9 says, "Am I late?" No, you're not. We've only been going for about 20 minutes now, so feel free to talk about anything you like, from Newcastle United to football, myself, the channel, and anything that comes into your head. Just fire your questions away to us, and if you are new, make sure you hit the like button, you subscribe, and if this goes successful, we'll do more of them. It's just replacing the Aston Villa game because unfortunately tonight the game was called off, postponed due to Newcastle players or certain Newcastle players and staff allegedly testing positive for you know what. David Waller on the takeover. My understanding is that it's still within government. It's still going to court, isn't it? As far as I'm aware, an MP wrote to the Premier League saying that we haven't been given a fair crack at it. I don't know too much of what's going on behind the scenes. All I know is that the deal didn't happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. And fingers crossed soon we'll get Mike Ashley out of this football club once and for all, because in order for the club to succeed and go forward, it's not going to under Mike Ashley's ownership. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter who he brings into the club. You just look at what we've got now, Steve Bruce's staff. It's not good. Ryber Archibald, I hope I've said that right, mate. Papa or Demba Ba? Oof, that's a tough one. If you're going to put us on the spot, I'm going to say Demba Ba because he scored some brilliant goals for the club. Some goals which got we back into games, some goals which won the games which probably shouldn't have done. But then he scored goals from literally anywhere, from like any angle. Even if we were defending most of the time, if you gave Ba the service, then you would often put the ball in the back of the net. And not bad for a free transfer, from West Ham. He failed a medical at Stoke. And then when Papi Cissé come through the door, both Senegalese, they both linked up very well, got with the goals that were needed to get into that 5th place Europa League spot. Could have got Champions League if we didn't lose a couple of dodgy games against Everton, for example. But there were some memories back there with Demba Ba and Cissé in particular. But if you're going to put us on the spot, I will say Papi's Demba Cissé. Sorry, Demba Ba. I'm talking about Cissé, but Demba Ba would be my number one. One player you would absolutely hate it, but not Joelinton. I didn't like Niall Ranger, to be fair. I thought his attitude was stinking. I didn't think he really done it for the club, and he was just playing for the paycheck. A player that come with so much potential. He was a young lad, and I remember the True Geordie making a famous video on him, and rightly so, because for me, he was questioning the fans, like why we're booing and whatnot. Well, we'll have a right to boo if the players aren't performing, and Mike Ashley's selling players behind our back, and we're not progressing as a football club. Then, as fans, we'll have a right to. And for him to come out and say, we're wrong, yet you're getting paid X, Y, and Z amount of money each week, then you should keep your gob shut unless you've got something good to say. So for me, it has to be Niall Ranger. If you look back at his career, it's not been a good one. He's just gone down in the pecking order, down the leagues, and for a player that looked promising, he just let his career slip down the pan. And yeah, fair play to him. He did go on the True Geordie podcast, but at the end of the day, I'll never forgive him for what he said. And a player that could have actually done something in his career, but unfortunately, he didn't in the end, and that's what can happen to a lot of footballers. So, to be fair, I don't really hate Joelinton. That's really a strong word to use. I just think he's very frustrating. He's a player who, yes, we're paid a lot of money for, but when he shoots a ball, it's very tame, very weak. Something he needs to work on. But he took his goal very well against Crystal Palace and his assist. So, but the one in line has to be Niall Ranger. Jason said, Richie, Wilson, Fraser are now linked with Joshua King. Are we turning into Bournemouth? Plus, would you take him? I heard about that the other day. Joshua King, it's a difficult one, isn't it? And you're right about turning into AFC Bournemouth. We just need Eddie Howe, don't we? If we can get Eddie Howe in, which I hope we do very, very soon, because Steve Bruce for me isn't the answer. It's a difficult one. I'm sort of on the fence with it. But then we need to see more of him, for Bournemouth. If he performs at a good enough level and he bangs in a few goals between now and January, or now and the end of the season, if, say, Bournemouth get promoted, then I think he's got a very good chance. But then maybe we'll have to leave Bournemouth alone and look elsewhere for strikers that have got, a bit of experience. I'm not saying that he's inexperienced, but I just don't think he scores enough goals. We've already got Wilson. I just think we need somebody else that can score double figures like Wilson, that can fire us up that Premier League table. Because you got to remember, if we lose Callum Wilson, like we did against Chelsea and Southampton, it leaves a gaping hole in the side and we don't score enough goals. So I think for me, Joshua King, I'm 50-50 with it. I'm not quite sure yet. Ask us that in January in a video. Dino84 asked, would you take Adam Armstrong back? Rightly, definitely. I think he's a great player, a young lad. I think at the time he needed the experience, but I wouldn't have sold him. I would have just sent him out on loan for a few games. I would have brought him back maybe in the championship season. Rafa Benitez era, I think he should have been given that chance to, a bit like Andy Carroll, bang in a few goals, get some confidence, local lad and whatnot. A lad, for me, who, if he's given the right service, has got very good, he's got a good future ahead of him anyway. If you look at what he's doing at Blackburn, if he continues that, then he's most likely going to get Blackburn promoted. I think he's too good for the championship, in my opinion, not putting any sort of pressure on the lad, but would I take him back? Yes, I would, because I think he could do a job alongside Wilson. Imagine how much he's going to learn alongside Wilson, Shelvey, ASM. I would definitely get him back. They say don't go back in the past, but for somebody like Adam Armstrong, or Armour, I like to call him, yeah, why not? At the end of the day, he's a player who's capable, of getting those double figures. I would prefer him over Jose Perez anyway. That's just my opinion. But then I think the fan base will be split with that. But then again, Blackburn would be asking for, a big price tag for the services of Adam Armstrong. I'm sure there'll be plenty of suitors out there as well for January or even next season, because I could see Adam Armstrong in the Premier League for next season. If we manage to get Jethro during the January, would you play him over Lewis? I would actually. I think he's a player who played ever so well for us last season on loan. Scored a very good goal at Anfield, took it really well. He took to the fans very well, played the system that Steve Bruce wanted. His injury was very, very unfortunate, and it had to be cut short, his loan deal. I'm just amazed that we didn't go back in for him in the summer. Now, there's been hints that he may come back in the January, but if that is an option, why not? We need a bit of cover. I think Lewis needs that competition, because if he doesn't get that competition, then he's going to continue to underperform. He's been very hit-y-missy, Jamal Lewis. But then you've got to remember, this is a lad for Norwich who spent the majority of the time, playing in the Championship. He played in a relegation, threatened side last season and made the step back into the Premier League, with a mid-table club in West Selves. But yeah, I think he definitely needs that competition with Jethro. I would actually start him over Lewis, just to make him learn that you've got to perform, at a high level for each and every game that you play. You can't just turn up for certain games and think, oh well, actually, you've made it, because you haven't. And I think it would be depends on Frankfurt and the board. Also, going back to my one player I raged at the club about was Jonathan Woodgate. He was brilliant for us and was sold behind the manager's back. Yeah, very solid centre-back. This is a lad who played for Real Madrid, one of the greatest clubs, best clubs in the world, in my opinion. Decorated with trophies, and his injury was sort of the reason why he didn't really, win half the stuff he wanted to. But listen, this is Newcastle all over. We do sell our better players, and that's why I don't get all too hyped up when we sign good players, because it's only sooner rather than later that the board actually sell them. And you've got to understand that under Mike Ashley, he's been doing that ever since he bought the club in 2007. Get players in on the cheap, sell them on for more. It's business, and that's the way he works. And he's done it behind many managers' backs. And you've only got to look at what happened to the treatment of Rafa, to the treatment of Chris Hughton, just to name a few managers there, and nothing is going to change. And I look, at Jonathan Woodgate, what could have been. But listen, that's football. There's nothing we can do about it. And, I've seen it with the ASM contract. He's not been the same since he got, that new 6-year deal, or 1-year deal, if you like, with extra money. Players, if they perform well, will be sold. Contracts mean nothing in football these days. That's just my opinion. Best player at Newcastle, but not Shearer, I would say Demba Ba. Yes, I've already answered that question. If it wasn't for Alan Shearer, I would say Demba Ba or maybe Kevin Nolan. I think I actually went for Kevin Nolan. Would be one of my greatest players, just for how good he was, for Newcastle United. He led by example, and he gave his all for the club, the badge, for the area, Newcastle, for what it stands for, and that's all you ask. And he always wore his heart on his sleeve, and he gave absolutely everything. He got on very well, with the players, the dressing room, and that's what you want. And he was one of the reasons why we got promoted back to the Premier League, in the 2009-10 season. And he went on from there. Like I keep saying, for me, the way it all ended was very sad. But you realise as a fan of Mike Ashley, you're not going to be able to keep your leaders. You're not going to be able to keep your better players, because we're called Sell United. We'll literally just sell every player that we've got if it means Mike Ashley's going to make a bit of this. Philip Kiers has said, hi Sharky, hope you're well. Yep, not too bad, mate. Hope you're keeping well yourself in these difficult times. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, then feel free to jot them down in the comments. We'll be going live for a good hour or so. And this is just replacing the Aston Villa watch-along, as unfortunately the game got postponed due to some Newcastle players and staff allegedly tested positive for you-know-what. So in the meantime, we'll be doing this watch-along, where you get to watch me answer your questions. So, Philip, again, what is your all-time best Newcastle 11 in the Premier League era? I have to say the season which we lost out, in terms of the Premier League, 95-96. Of course, I would have only been 3-4-year-old then, possibly 3. I was very young then, so I didn't really have the privilege to watch the team back then. But to watch it on like DVDs and watch it on clips on YouTube, it just goes to show, like, we're spending next to no money. We can put a side together, and a side that wasn't even fancy to win the Premier League, a side that wasn't even fancy to get anywhere near the top six. We entertained, the public, and that's why we were called the entertainers, because if the opposition scored one, we would score another. And that's how Kevin Keegan played his football. He was passionate, and we had some really good players, such as Alan Shearer, who, had a real, connection with the club. He's a supporter. He wanted to win the Premier League for us, with the likes of Tino. And in the end, it just sort of fell away, but a very good side, scoring bags of goals. And, Man United, don't get us wrong, a club that's littered with trophies. They know how to win things. Alex Ferguson, winning the trophies that he's won, fair play to him. He had the experience and he got it over, Kevin Keegan. And I just think that was a season where, what could have been, and if we'd won the Premier League, where the club could be now. But in terms of my time, I have to say the Pardew era. I have to say, under Mike Ashley, the 11-12 season, where we just completely smashed it. Coming fifth, could have easily got Champions League. Signing the likes of Demba Ba, Cisse from the season before, selling Andy Carroll to the games that we won. Was just fantastic, and memorable moments going down to Stamford Bridge. Cisse scoring that absolute worldie, a night I'll never forget. So for my sort of era, that was a good side. I mean, you could argue sort of early 2000s, the Bobby Robson era. Yeah, so it's a toss-up between that and I would say 96. But if you go more modern, I would say 11-12. But I would definitely say that the 95-96 squad for me, in my opinion, should have won the Premier League, but unfortunately we didn't in the end. And it's gut-wrenching, but that's football. And we've come close to winning the FA Cup a couple of times, didn't happen. But again, that's football, and fingers crossed in the future, if we get a takeover, we'll get back to where we once were back in the 90s, early 2000s, competing at the very top and winning trophies, which this club, deserves to win, and it deserves to be competing at the very top level, playing up there against the likes of Barca, Bayern Munich, PSG. If you look at our fan base, man, it's just amazing how we're stuck in mid-table, in the Premier League. And that's not being diluted. That's just, speaking from a fan who's experienced it. And it's just sad, what's going on today, with the likes of Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley running the club. The club will never go forward under Mike Ashley. Just trust us on that. Dino84 said, best players for me other than Shearer would be Speed or Lee. These are the type of players we miss or need right now. Yeah, we'll just lack a bit of that motivation in midfield. We don't seem to have enough players that like to get forward. But that's all down to your manager, Steve Bruce, playing that five at the back, being all defensive, being negative. Kevin Keegan would never have set Newcastle up like that. It was always just to get at sides and have a go and play for the full 90 minutes plus stoppage time. And that's what I demand as a fan, like, that the players, try. I don't demand a team that wins. I demand a team that tries, for the full game. And under Mike Ashley's ownership, I haven't seen that in most games. But then with players these days on so much money, it depends where their mojos are. If they're not going to perform, it's all down to the mindset. And money's taken over, unfortunately. I'd say back in the day, footballers played for the love of the game. I'm not saying that they don't do so now, but there's certain footballers, they're just there for the money. And it's quite sad, isn't it? Lewis York says, I got a feeling that the game next weekend will not go ahead against West Brom. We'll just have to wait and see on the number of cases. Let's just hope, fingers crossed, that it's calmed down and that the number of cases are not as high as what was reported on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and that the training ground can open on Monday morning, that the players can train and get ready for the West Brom game. Because I believe that we need to start playing games, because we don't want to have that fixture pile up by the end of the current season. Olivier Giroud, a player who we did get linked with back in the day but never really come off. I would love to have him now. Philip says, do you ever rewatch your old videos on the channel? I have one or two times, but not really, because if I think of how I was back then to what I was now, it's quite embarrassing. But then that's YouTube. You're there, you're putting yourself in front of the camera. I tend to just keep looking forward, like keep making videos and just look to the future rather than keep looking back, because I do look back at some of the videos and I think, what on earth was I doing? But then I look at some of the videos now, some of the attention to detail, it's good, but there's always ways to improve. At the end of the day, the channel's not the finished article. There's plenty more to come. And the minute we get back into stadiums, that's what's been lacking on this channel, just being able to go to games, to do the match day experiences, to interact with fans. And I don't really like the idea of talking in front of a camera inside a house, because I'd rather be watching the games rather than be, talking about a preview or a review. I'd rather just bring the experience to the fans, that want to watch it, because I'm sure there's fans around the world that don't get to watch Newcastle that are as equally passionate about the club as I am. And I can openly admit right now that my channel's definitely been on the floor in terms of progression, because, listen, I've just been sat in the house most of the time, doing these type of videos and just doing previews, reviews, and I particularly do find them boring. But in order to keep the content coming out, it's something I have to do. But yeah, I am looking to build a studio, hopefully for next year. That's all in the pipeline for after Christmas. So it's something I am looking forward to bringing out on the channel, a new studio, a place where I can do all of my videos Newcastle based. And one thing I am looking forward to doing is doing the previews and reviews maybe outside the ground, because at the minute it's all closed off. Shandy83, why you think that Newcastle have been awful at possession? Seems like we just can't play possession football for last 10 or so years. I just think it's the way the managers have been set up. Like Rafa Benitez was defensive, but the difference between Rafa and Bruce, Rafa's always been defensive, but he always got the best out of the players. He had a game plan. He had an idea of what the players were intending to do, and if something wasn't right, he'd change it. Steve Bruce just makes changes for change's sake. Sometimes they're too late, and you just think under Steve Bruce, you look at some of the fixtures, for example, what was the game? Well, we've had a couple of games this season where we've played sides are in and around us, and we're playing 5 at the back, man. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not a one to play negative football. I mean, for me, I've always been a big fan of 4-3-3, 4-1-2-1-2, or even the 4-2-3-1 formation, which Bruce was going with. Yes, he got some luck against Crystal Palace towards the end, but is that the formation that we should be using going forward? I beg to differ. We'll wait and see in the couple of games coming up against West Brom and Leeds and whatnot. These are winnable games in my opinion. But I do agree it is hard to watch. I'm not going to lie on that. Do you know Aggie Man? I don't. You may have to expand on that a bit more. Lawrence, a friend of the channel. Which players would you get rid of in the January? Well, the ones I couldn't get rid of in the summer, first and foremost, we'll have to get rid of the deadwood. In terms of getting rid of other players, I mean, obviously, Rondon Aaron's has been mentioned, just to name a few. Are we going to sell players? We find it difficult to sell players. This is the problem, because we give them such high contracts to the point where the wages are extortionate and clubs can't afford them, especially clubs at lower level, who we're trying to sell to. So, for example, Motherwell in Scotland, they're not going to have like 60, 70k a week. Some clubs in the Championship are going to afford 30, 40, 50k a week. So that's where we're sort of doomed in a sense. Obviously, we'll have to sell before we buy. I'm sure there'll be a couple of players getting sold, but it's difficult to know who the club are going to sell. Given what's going on as well, our clubs are going to have the money to buy our players, if anything, because I know the EFL obviously been given a loan by the Premier League. That's Championship, League 1, League 2. It is a difficult one because, of course, we do hold the aces because we're the Premier League club. We're getting the money coming in, they don't. But also, we're doomed in terms of how to sell players because those clubs can't afford them. So, Lawrence, to answer your question, that is a difficult one to answer. Lewis Jardine says, are you having your dinner tonight? I've just had my tea, actually, about an hour ago. So I was prepared for the stream tonight. And, yeah, better have it early than late because you should never go to bed on a full stomach. That's what they say. Well, they say on an empty stomach, but for me, yeah. I am doing that on the phone, guys, so do bear with us. Philip Kears said, what is your favourite video game and franchise, if any? So are you on about like FIFA? Because that's the only sort of game I play. Obviously, I like Ultimate Team. I do like a bit of career mode. That's something I have to get back to on the channel. I haven't actually played it since episode 3 or 4, whichever one I've done. So I have to get back to that. I'm the sort of person where I'll play a game of career mode and then I'll just stop playing because it's either I get bored or I have other things to do. So life does get busy. But I will be bringing back the live streams there very, very soon. But like I was mentioning, I want to build a studio, which I've got a spare room now to do that. So something I'm working on for next year, something I'm looking forward to, and hopefully by the end of next year it should be complete. And I've got a designated space location, if you like, to do videos, and they're going to be of better quality. So yeah, just watch this space, and we'll keep it going as of where we are now. Can't be asked said, favorite crisps. It has to be cheese and onion. They're my favorite. Do I have any other favorites? Cola's boring, but I like ready salted. I don't really like prawn cocktail as much. Salt and vinegar, I'm not a massive fan of. Chicken flavour, I'm not a massive fan of. So yeah, in order of favourite, I have to say cheese and onion Walker's crisps or ready salted. Chris NUFC, hi mate. Did you get next gen FIFA 21? Can't believe we are not playing tonight. So to answer your first question, I haven't actually got the PS5 yet. I am actually going to wait. I am planning on buying it very, very soon. I am happy with the PS4, but I have seen the next gen. And yeah, I do have plans to buy it very, very soon. It's just waiting for people to stop panic buying and stop getting all excited about a PS5 when a lot of it on the PS5 you can do on the PS4. I do game, but I'm not a massive gamer to what I used to be. But I do obviously like playing the odd game of FIFA and some racing games in there. And to answer your second question, can't believe we are not playing tonight. Yeah, it is gut-wrenching, but that's football, that's life. People's lives are important than a game of football. It's one game. We can play next time. We've got West Brom next weekend, which is a winnable game in my opinion, a game we should look to win. And it gives the players that bit extra rest as well. So not all's lost. And I am doing this live stream, so you're talking to me. So nothing has been lost in terms of videos. I've had to replace the watch along with something, and I've come up with sort of like a Q&A. So it's not something I often do on the channel, but I just think if you want to ask us any questions, here's your time. So to answer your second question, it's one of them, but we will move on, to West Brom next weekend. There will be a preview next Thursday, something like that. By the way, guys, if you are new, be sure to subscribe if you haven't seen the channel before and you want to be part of it in the future. And hit the like button. The more you hit the like button, the better. And keep your comments coming. Crazy Ginger Jake Holden says, yep, it's the manager for sure. Yeah, Steve Bruce for me is not the answer. David Wallace says, Olivier Giroud. Lewis 9 says, do you collect Adrenaline XL football cards? I think you're on about the old Match Attacks. I don't actually. I used to collect them back in the day. I've got big piles of them in the cupboard. Go way back. And there were some great times, when you used to say, oh, give us your Shearer for your 5-year shinies and whatnot. And you're like, no, definitely not. But there were some good days back in the day, collecting these football cards. Football stickers, I haven't collected for many years, but I used to favour them over the cards, to be fair, because you could actually stick them in the book and you can look back at them and think, wow. You used to get excited as well when you used to get the Newcastle badge. You used to get like a shiny Ronaldo. I used to get a shiny Shearer. I used to get like the Stadium. I even get the Premier League badge or the trophy. There were some good times back then. I do miss the good old times. Archer, a friend of the channel, hope you're keeping well, mate. Which players would you like to see in the January? But I have a feeling, knowing the Toon, we will end up with loan deals. Well, to answer your question, I think we're going to get loan deals. That's what's been mooted around the club. That's what I've heard this week. And with Brexit and whatnot, it's going to be difficult, to bring in some foreign imports. Now, for me, I'm all for it because it means you can bring in your youth, bring them through the academy into the under-23s, into the first team. Yes, we've seen it, with the likes of Andy Carroll back in the day, Paul Dummett in the Longstaffs, but you want to see more coming through the academy and through the under-23s that have passion for the club and know where the goal is. And I'm not against, the players that we're bringing through, but I still believe we need to change our transfer policy because this whole idea of buying, from other leagues and the young and inexperienced is not helping our cause going forward. Are we going to have a transfer budget? Well, it remains to be seen. Obviously, we did spend some money on Callum Wilson, Hendrick, Fraser. I do believe we need 1 or 2 players in. But it's whether or not Mike Ashley's going to, cough up some money. But if anything, if we do bring some players in, it could be potentially a loan deal, mate. Lewis York said, I don't think the Toon fans will be... I'll read that again. I don't think Toon fans will not want to be back this season, unfortunately. Well, with the results, I can understand, but for me, I want to get back in. As much as I don't like Steve Bruce, as much as I don't like Steve Bruce football, I'm a fan. I want to get behind the lads. I've missed going to St James's Park, and that's what makes my weekend. Because, you work during the week, and then you want to go and, have a bit of a piss up with your mates, catch up, and go and enjoy the game and just get behind the lads. Put all of your anger and your frustration of the week, onto the pitch and row your lads onto victory. And I've missed it. It's not been easy, but sooner rather than later, we're going to get back at the stadiums. There's been some good news this week. Fans going back, from down south, and fingers crossed, maybe in the next couple of weeks, on the 16th of December, when the government review the tier system, that we can get put into tier 2 short term, get some fans back into St James's Park. 2,000 is better than none. I'd rather, all the fans back. But if we can get some fans back in the stadium, it's great, because the players, they need our full support, 100% support. And I miss, like I say, doing the match day experiences and the whole idea of being in the ground and being amongst other supporters who have the same passion for me, which is Newcastle United Football Club. So I understand where you're coming from in terms of performances and cost and whatnot, but I think if you've been out the stadium for that long, then fans do want to be back in sooner rather than later. Philip says, do you watch any other football fan channels on YouTube? I do actually watch quite a few, to be honest. There's too many to name, but I do appear on a couple of fan channels in terms of live streams and whatnot. So, yeah, for me, as much as I support Newcastle United, I do like to support other, YouTubers who, support me. And I don't really have any vendetta against other clubs. I'm always seeing how other clubs get on. Sunderland's a different story. But yeah, like I do watch other channels, because at the end of the day, they all have the same, passion, which is supporting their club, loving football. And I'm sure other YouTubers watching this right now who see my channel and watching this will know that, it is important to support one another, especially in these difficult times. Do beg your pardon. Let's have a look. Let's get that back on. Louis, apologise, mate. If that's your name. Right, okay. So, Lewis said, and mine is reserve, mine's pronounced Lewis. Thanks for getting it right. No problem, mate. That's absolutely fine. It's just the way it comes through in the comments section. Not back in St James's Park. For me, for fans, obviously fans can vote with their feet. Some fans will go back. Some fans will not go back. I don't think there's a right and a wrong. I don't think, I'm going to tell any fan what they can and can't do. That wouldn't be right. You've got to do what's right for yourself. And for me, being a Newcastle fan, as much as I criticise the club, as much as I criticise Mike Ashley and the players and whatnot, there's no better feeling than being inside St James's Park on a match day and getting behind the lads and giving them, 100% support. Yes, you're not going to have it, all tickety-boo for each game that comes up. Some games you'll win, some you'll lose. But for me, the whole idea of being at St James's Park is to get behind your side, and to be locked out at the minute. Listen, it's one of them. There's nothing we can do about it. But you know what? There is light at the end of the tunnel, with the vaccine and whatnot. So that's more questions come in. What is your favourite pub, restaurant, if any? Are you asking that in terms of match day, or are you asking that as a general question? If it's in terms of a match day, I do like the Strawberry, to be fair. I do like 9 Bar. And I do like Junction. I do like to have a few drinks before the game. I can go local as well, where I live. So for me, I do like to have, a drink before the game. I'm always one of them where if it's not too busy, I'll go in it, so to speak. But I do like to be, amongst the fans. Obviously, Junction's sort of one of them places I go to when it's like after game. I did actually go to that place quite a lot when there was games on TV and whatnot last season when I wasn't going to games, but then there was games I was watching back at home. So it's a case of restaurants and pubs. Obviously, the Strawberry has to be up there as my favourite, but I do like all the other pubs that equal. I do like the new Shark Bar as well. Obviously, I'm not saying that because it's in my name. It's nothing to do with me, but it's just it is a nice bar to go to, for drinks. And hopefully, fingers crossed, when we go back into stadiums, we'll get to do that all over again. Hopefully in the next couple of months. Lewis York said, hopefully we can win the cup. Sorry. Hopefully we can win the cup. I don't know what that's saying, mate, but if you can elaborate on that, I'll redo it for you. Jonathan Greenwood, win the League Cup with no fans or never win a trophy in your lifetime. I would have to say, because I've never seen Newcastle lift a proper trophy and the Championship does not count, I would say win the League Cup with no fans, because we're asking for a trophy of any description to say that we've actually won something in our lifetime. So it would just be typical us as a fan base to win something and there be no fans there. And I just think if we're going to win the League Cup, then I think it's something we should be targeting anyway. Like, it's something we haven't really taken seriously in the last couple of years, but it'd be nice to win it. Obviously, by the time Wembley comes along, you may get a couple of thousand in, so you may be one of the lucky ones there, Johnny. If you're, obviously, I know you're a season ticket holder, so I think by the time February comes around, there might be a few thousand fans in. Ideally, I'd like to see all the fans in. That's if we make it. Obviously, we've got Brentford. That'll be a difficult game, not a game that we can't win. We should be looking to win that one. No disrespect to Brentford in any way, but yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, I want to see we lift a trophy of some description. That's what I want to see. Even if there's no fans there, just to say that we lifted something. But that's not to say if we lifted the League Cup that we couldn't win something in the future, because I do believe we're going to win a trophy of some description, but not under Mike Ashley. But then again, it would just be typical. Mike Ashley wants to sell, and we'll win the League Cup, and Steve Bruce is the manager. And then Steve Bruce will be down as like one of the best managers at the football club, because he would have delivered Newcastle the League Cup. But still plenty of games to go. We've still got the Brentford game, then the semi-final, and then the final. But it is a good question, to be fair. But if you were going to put us on the spot, I would like to see Newcastle, lift the League Cup. Also, if you win the League Cup, it gets you back into the Europa League. So it's something I want to see Newcastle back in, is that, Europa League. We're not asking for Champions League, but if we can get back into some sort of European football, it's something I've missed, because my last game was Benfica, and that was like 2013. You're talking 7 years ago, and I'd love to see those days again, those nights. Lewis York says, I love going to St James's Park because I'm a season ticket holder. Well, yeah, that's it. You go for the buzz. It doesn't matter like how bad we're doing. You just go for the day out. You go just to be with your mates, have a piss up, and then go there and just get behind the lads. And then at the end of the day, yeah, we take the piss and we get angry if we get beat, but we're always back in with numbers, because we've got some of the best fans in the country, if not in the country. And we'll travel, away on a Tuesday, Wednesday night to the likes of Brighton. We'll even go to Penzance away if we have to, because we'll love the club to bits, and we just want to see the club succeed. It's just the owner doesn't see the same as the fan base, unfortunately, until he leaves. Then yes, but I do see where you're coming from with that one. What is your favourite TV programme? To be honest, I don't watch that much TV. If I'm honest, I used to watch a lot back in the day. Now I spend a lot of time on like YouTube, Netflix, Twitch, Amazon. Call us boring, but I just like Match of the Day and whatnot. That's probably the only thing I watch on TV. A bit of Football Focus, maybe on a Saturday morning. Then after that, maybe a bit of Final Score, a bit of Gillette Soccer Saturday. Yeah, I mean, you can tell I'm football mad, but yeah, I don't know. TV doesn't really. I just haven't got time for it, if I'm honest. Lewis York said, hopefully Newcastle can win the tie against Brentford. It's a game that we should be looking to win, but if we don't, then I'd be very, very disappointed, because if you look at the tie against Arsenal in the FA Cup, I'm not saying it's a write-off, but it's going to be a tough fixture. It's going to be tough to get something there. David Waller, how PIF responded to Newcastle's takeover talk that followed the Middle East Fund's Leeds Terrace deal. Yeah, I heard about that, but I wouldn't read into that too much. I would just leave that with the right people. I'm not saying that a takeover isn't going to happen. I'm like everyone else. I want the takeover to happen. But right now, until something's finalised and Mike Ashley's left, then we're just going to have to get on with it. It's as simple as that. Mike Ashley would know that he's not wanted at the football club. He can bring in whoever he likes. He can say what he wants. He can do this. He can do that. But for me, the damage has already been done. It's as simple as that. Lewis said, bye, mate. I hope you're having a nice night. When you go to McDonald's, what do you get? I'm quite straightforward, really. I get like a large Big Mac meal. And I do like to get an extra cheeseburger because I'm greedy. Like that. I do like to get a McFlurry and maybe a banana milkshake or a Coke or something like that. I don't know what you would get, but for me, it's always been just Big Mac. Just play it down the middle, stay, keep it safe, so to speak. Robbie Stevenson, welcome to the stream, mate. Always said Joelinton into will come through thoughts. Yeah, he had a decent game against Crystal Palace. I know there was a few negative fans last week saying, that he was this and he was that. He didn't do this and he didn't do that. And, listen, I'll put my hands up. I've criticised Joelinton, and rightly so, because for the money that we've paid for him, he hasn't done enough in games. He hasn't really burst a gut in games. He hasn't really linked up very well, whether he's been playing up front on his own or if he's been playing in a two. But the fact that he's got Callum Wilson playing alongside him, and Callum Wilson's given a few tips in his ear, it's helped. And you've seen it against Crystal Palace that they're linked up very well. Now, yes, it's 1 goal and 1 assist, but you want to see more from him. I believe there's something in there with Joelinton, but what's knocking him back as well, and I noticed it against Crystal Palace, was when he shoots, it's very weak, it's very tame. And I watched Steve Rafe's show last night, and I believe it was Bob Moncur said that. Sorry, Supermac. Yeah, Supermac said, he had to train in some sort of garage or warehouse in order to have better shooting ability and whatnot. And one side was a goal, and the other side was like a goal painted on a wall. I think he needs to work on his shooting, because don't get me wrong, there's sometimes he puts himself in good areas, and he did against Crystal Palace. But if he worked on his shooting and he had a bit more, power behind the shot, he could have scored maybe 2 or 3 on that night. So I think for me, it's a case of I want to see Joelinton succeed. I think we all do. As Newcastle fans, you wouldn't be a Newcastle fan if you said otherwise. But I just think he is very frustrating at times, and you just want to see him put some sort of run together. And yes, it's against Crystal Palace; they're very poor at the back, but that would have done him the world of good confidence. For West Brom next weekend. That goal, that assist. So yeah, long may it continue, and he keeps that relationship going with Callum Wilson. Lawrence Taylor. Thoughts on UEFA's announcement about the UEFA Conference League? Now, from what I'm hearing, it's the 3rd tournament. So you've got like the Champions League, you've got Europa League, and then you've got the Europa Conference League. I'm not too sure, to be honest, until I've seen it in action, until I see how it works and how it's going to benefit clubs maybe lower down. Now, I understand like where they're coming from with it. Like they want to get more mid-table sides to qualify for it in order to play European football, bit more money for those sort of clubs. And then if they win it, they get a chance to play in the Europa League. And then obviously Europa League winners get into the Champions League. I don't know. I think I'm on the fence with it. I think it's a new idea, isn't it? I mean, you look back at this Papa John's Trophy, the under-21s getting put in. I mean, that's still going all right the way it is. There was protests, but I just think things take time. And I think you're just going to have to stay patient with it and see what happens and see how it goes. If it's a success, then I'm sure they'll continue with it, and then we've got something to play for. I am all for it, if we qualify. But again, would we manage to qualify for the Conference League, the Europa League, under Steve Bruce? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. If you like a Big Mac, you can get the double Big Mac. Yeah, I could get that right now. I'm actually starving again, and I've just had my tea about an hour and a half ago. But yeah, I could do. So yeah, if you've got any more questions, feel free to jot them down in the comments. We've been going for a good hour now, so thank you very much for your questions so far, and thank you very much for your support. And in the meantime, before I get more comments in, make sure that you press that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. There'll be plenty of content coming out very soon. Next week, we've got the match preview and the review for the West Brom game. But then as the season goes on and we'll get back into stadiums, we'll be doing, the match day experiences and all the things that we used to enjoy. And so plenty to look forward to, and we'll just keep the channel growing. And also, if you haven't hit the like button, make sure that you hit the like button, as it really does help the channel to get itself out there to the world, as I get a bit tongue-tied. Right, let's have a look at some more comments. What do I have for breakfast? To be honest with you, I'm not really a breakfast person, truth be told. And if I do have breakfast, it's very once in a while. I'll just have like cereal, or maybe on a weekend if I'm feeling up to it, I'll have like a bacon and sausage sandwich, something like that. I like to play things safe. I'm very like down the middle, so to speak. Thomas Story, how you been keeping busy during lockdown, Sharky? Yeah, good question. Just getting on with it. Obviously where I live is quite quiet, so I've not really had any problems. I do a lot of walking, I do a lot of running. Something I'm looking to do more of next year, getting into a bit of a routine. Just trying to get to the odd football game where I can, a bit of non-league football, keeping busy, obviously, with whatnot, and just doing some work on the computer. Just got to get on with it, really, haven't you? I mean, we've had no choice but to get on with it, and obviously talking to people, and I've had some people send us messages and chatting and whatnot. It's good. I have kept busy, and that's the most important thing. But in reality, it hasn't been easy. But I've got through it, and just by doing those things like walking, running, planning the day, keep myself active, it always helps. Favorite Toon player has to be Alan Shearer. What a player! And if only we had Shearer today, in order to partner alongside Callum Wilson, we could be maybe winning things. Lewis York, who thinks going to win the Premier League, and who's going to get relegated? So who's going to win the Premier League and who's going to get relegated? Well, I had Liverpool to win the Premier League. It's quite open this year. Anyone from like Tottenham, Man City, Chelsea can win the Premier League. It's so open this year. Relegation, well, Sheffield United don't look in any good shape this season, so they look odds on to go. Burnley are in there as well. West Brom, Fulham. It's going to be an interesting end to the season, I think. Your hair looks really fluffy and neat. To be fair, I've just had my hair cut today, so it's important that I got that done. What am I doing for Christmas? Probably not a lot, to be fair. Just spend it how you spend it, I suppose. Just trying to keep busy. Christmas is, for me, well, it's not going to be the same as it really. Let's be honest with what's going on. I think it's going to be better next year. So I think there'll be a lot of sacrifices made this year. What do you like between your bread? To be fair, I like ham and cucumber, like bits of salad in there as well. Obviously, the healthy stuff. So that's what I'll tend to go for. Thomas, what did you say, mate? I'm sure I did just read it. If you could put your comment back in, that would be much appreciated. Favorite match day drink? I do obviously like Strongbow. I'm quite boring that way. Obviously, I do like obviously beers. I'm not a massive beer drinker, but I will drink it. But I'm more into like cider and pretty much anything, to be honest. So yeah, I would say for me it has to be Strongbow. But I do like a good drink before the game. I've already had that question. What do you make of Newcastle being in Tier 3? I don't necessarily agree with it, because going into the second lockdown, we were Tier 2. And I feel like we've been let down by the government. I feel like the whole North have been let down by the government. I don't feel like they've got it correct. I mean, how can London be in Tier 3 when, it's the capital for a reason, because there's a lot of people that live there. It's a high population of people that mass gather. I mean, you've only got to go to the tube stations and see people squashing into tube trains and, the shops and whatnot. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're not as busy as London and down the south. I feel like we've been given a bit of a rough deal. I've always believed in the north and south divide, and I just feel like with our economy not being there up north to what it is down south, we should have been, one of the areas to have been put in Tier 2 in order to get the economy up and running. From okay, you can go shopping, you can do this, you can do that, but in terms of sport events, that's what a lot of people enjoy. That's what makes their weekend or makes their day, their night. Going to games, and those 2,000 fans could really help the economy. In the short term, but long term, you want all the fans to get back in. I'm not a massive fan of it, and I hope on December the 16th, when it's reviewed, that would do get put in at least Tier 2, because I don't feel like it's fair. Because if we get put in tier 3 through Christmas, it could be a real disaster. And this whole idea of, 5 days if you can spend time with your family, but after that you can't. It really, for me, makes no sense. I'm not, like I say, I'm not a massive fan of the government. Truth be told, I'm more of a Labour supporter. But anyway, I don't really like to talk too much about politics, but that's just my opinion. But on the whole tier system, I don't necessarily agree with it. Is it the way forward? I don't think it is, in my opinion. I think Liverpool wins the league. Well, they've got a lot of injuries at the minute, but they've just got to stay consistent. Tottenham, giving them a run for their money. But again, they were inconsistent last night in the Europa League. So, yeah, I'd say all to play for. What do you think of England's chances of Euro 2021? Yeah, we've got a chance. I mean, we didn't do very well in the Nations League. I mean, we never do anything good in that anyway. Oh, for me, I'd like to see Callum Wilson, get that chance of playing for England and proving that he's good enough to play in the Euros. Because for me, he's just as good as Jack Grealish, in my opinion. He's just as good as Tammy Abraham. That's my opinion. He's got 9 goals already. What does he have to do? Sorry, 7 goals and 9 appearances. What does he have to do in order to get a chance under Gareth Southgate? But chances in general, well, we need to perform so much better. And you look at Gareth Southgate, very like Steve Bruce, he needs to get his system spot on. Otherwise, we'll have the same problems as the World Cup. We'll come unstuck. For me, I don't have England as favourites to win it as much as I'd love to see it. I think for me, Belgium have been my number one since probably before the last World Cup. You could just see the progression under Martinez. You could see the players that they've got, Lukaku, De Bruyne, just to name a few players there. So I just think in general we need to make sure that we're ready for it, because if we're ready for it, we've got a chance. I mean, England, we've got some good players, but the problem that we have is we're overhyped by the media, and that's why we probably don't win the tournaments that we should win, in my opinion. So we've got a chance, just like everyone else, but it's all going to come down to the mentality of the players, and obviously fitness levels, and players getting ready from what would have been a tough Premier League season, because we've got games coming thick and fast. Lewis York says, it's bloody typical. London tier 2 and Newcastle Gate are tier 3. They are trying to kill the North East, in my opinion. Well, let's be honest, I don't think the government have ever had it in for the North East, and nothing's going to change until we get the Tories out. Not a massive Tory myself. I can't stand them. But listen, there's nothing we can do until they leave. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by the 16th of December, we'll get into tier 2, because you look at what's going on in the North East. Okay, there's some coronavirus cases, at Newcastle, but that's the playing squad. That's not like the whole sort of city or Gateshead or anywhere like that. North Tyneside, South Tyneside. I just think common sense has got to prevail in all of this, and tier 2 would be my would be my idea for going forward anyway. Do you like to have cozy nights in or go out for a laugh? I like to do both, to be fair. I do like to have a night out, and I'm long overdue one. And I do like to have nights in, watching Netflix and watching YouTube and catching up on, people's videos who these YouTubers work ever so hard. And yeah, I do like to make a bit of time, play games on, on the PlayStation. So yeah, I do like to, to keep myself busy. You could say nights out, or you could say like, going out and about for walks and whatnot. So, I'm always looking to try and keep myself busy, because the last thing you want to be doing is be stuck indoors. I'm not really about staying indoors. Jexy, I think I've said that correct. If I haven't, let us know down below in the comments. We got lucky. We got moved into tier 2, but it's still unlucky for you. It definitely is. I just think, for me, the whole country should be put in tier 2 and then see what happens from there. Like, I just feel the government have screwed it over yet again, because they know that fans want to go back to stadiums and they want to do things that we enjoy. It's all about the London. It's all about the hub. It's all about, what they want. And yeah, fair enough, London's like the big attraction for many who travel to the UK, but to screw up the North like that, and I'm not just talking about Newcastle, I'm talking about the likes of Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester. Wales have obviously been screwed over. Scotland are still in trouble. It's absolutely crazy, man. Honestly, it is. Chris, NUFC. True, it's not fair for Newcastle being put in tier 3. Tier 2 is more fair. I agree. I'm all for tier 2. I think that's what it should have been. But listen, I'm not the government. Lewis York says, it's not fair. Every time English get picked for the national team, none get back from Newcastle. Alan Shearer is your only pair I can remember who get picked for England. Oh, I know what you're saying now. So players that have played for Newcastle that get represented for England. Well, in this moment in time, I don't think it's necessarily England. I don't think it's necessarily the FA or anything like that. I just think it's down to Gareth Southgate. He played for Middlesbrough. He managed the club. He had that rivalry with Newcastle, of course, with a fan base. So I don't think it's down to Callum Wilson doing anything wrong. I just think it's because he's playing for Newcastle, he's not going to get picked. It's as simple as that. And if he'd been playing for Bournemouth again, maybe in the Championship, he probably would have had a better chance. And that's no disrespect to us as a club. It's the manager that's managing England. And until he leaves, I don't think any players for Newcastle will get picked to represent England, which saddens us really. And that's why I don't really have the connection with England that other fans do. I do like watching England the odd time in the tournaments, but that's about it. Like, I just lose all interest because there's just nothing there. Do you know what I mean? And when you play negative football like what Gareth Southgate does at times, then you can understand why. Gabe says, your thoughts on you know what? Yeah, it's been a disaster, hasn't it? And my thoughts go out to those who have passed away, and it's been a nightmare for everyone. But there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel. That like I was saying in terms of a football channel point of view, football fans are going back into stadiums. You've seen it at Carlisle, you've seen it at Shrewsbury, you've seen it in the Arsenal game last night in the Europa League. So fingers crossed now it's not the reactive what we had back in maybe September, October time, where fans were going in, then they got kicked out again. Hopefully now we can build on the 2,000 fans, but then we can let more in up north. Hopefully from the 16th of this month. That's what should happen, especially in time for Christmas. Just imagine what that would do for many football fans up north for just before Christmas to let fans in. Just that one match, even for a couple of thousand fans, just to see fans back in, it would mean the world to them, and it would help people's mental health as well. What is your worst Newcastle XI in the Premier League era? I think it has to be... Well, it wasn't necessarily a bad side, but I have to say the one that we went down with in 15-16, because as much as that side should have actually stayed in the Premier League, McLaren ruined it. And when you hire a clown who has no real experience in the Premier League in terms of managerial decisions of getting the squad to where it should be, the money that he was given as well, it was just, blown down the shitter, if you ask me. It has to be that squad, because we had some good players in it, but they just didn't perform. There was too many players just playing for the paycheck, and you had the likes of Steve McLaren in charge, who for me were not right for Newcastle United. I said that the minute he got the job, that I didn't want him at the club and he'd get relegated. And obviously I didn't want to see we're relegated, but we got relegated for a reason, because of Steve McLaren. Yeah, Southgate does not like Newcastle. He doesn't. It's 100% true. He does not like Newcastle. Lewis York says, thank you. See you later. Speak to you soon. Yeah, thanks for joining the live stream tonight. And just on that, if you are new, hit the like button. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's free. It just helps the channel to grow. And drop your comments down below. And also, if you haven't hit the notification bell, hit that so you're notified for videos that are released out on the channel. Obviously, I'm a Newcastle fan, Newcastle YouTuber. And this is just replacing the Aston Villa watch-along for tonight, as the game was called off due to certain Newcastle players and staff tested positive for you-know-what. So that is the replacement tonight, is the Q&A. I will be going for another maybe 45 minutes. Lewis York says, keep up the good work. Thanks very much, mate. Alan says, would you swap Southgate for Bruce at NUFC? That's a difficult one. I probably would, to be honest. I think he'd done enough in the World Cup to suggest that, okay, he had that time at Middlesbrough, and he's a Middlesbrough sort of lad, isn't he? I'll give him a chance. I just think Steve Bruce, for me, just doesn't cut it. I just think he's on borrowed time. And but listen, in reality, he's not going to come to Newcastle because of the past. Let's just say that. Speaking about having a laugh, I once saw someone drop a bowl of porridge all over the floor. Nice one. Chris NUFC says, after the COVID, can you see they might pick up again in Newcastle? So will life pick up again in Newcastle? It should do. I mean, it already is. You can see people in the Metro Centre and people, at Eldon Square and whatnot in the town. They're all, doing the shopping, and you can't really get in. Most places like Primark and whatnot. So fingers crossed that life continues the way it's going, and that we can slowly but surely see the light at the end of the tunnel and just keep, progressing and not going back to what it was, a few months back, because I don't want to see that again. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I feel sad for those who have passed away, but I don't want to see, a repeat of this COVID. And obviously, just follow the guidelines. I mean, I'm no politician, but I just think it's common sense just to stick with the guidelines, and I'm sure we'll get back to normality, which we are. But we're at the small end. We've got to try and get up there to where we need to be. 15-16 were dreadful. It's just, for me, that the squad had so much talent. We spent a lot of money, but the manager ruined it with his tactics, just the way he set up in games, the way he didn't really have a plan B when it was going wrong, and we sacked him too late. And when you do that, then thoughts on Boris Johnson? Nice guy. I don't know. Boris Johnson's a funny one. I think he's worked under a lot of pressure. I think he's done okay for what he's been advised. I mean, when I look at Boris Johnson, he had the impossible job. And it was like when Rafa Benitez took over Newcastle, when Steve McLaren got sacked with 10 games to go. He had the impossible job to keep up with that side. That was just not there. So thoughts on Boris Johnson? Yeah, he sounds like a good guy, but is he my type of Prime Minister? Philip has said, off to play on video games now, Sharky. Take care, mate. Yeah, thanks for joining the live stream tonight. Much appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Alan says, thanks for your opinion. Yeah, no problem, mate. This is what this is here for, the Q&A. Ask us anything you like, and I will answer them back. And obviously nothing too personal, otherwise I won't. I won't be answering that one. Hi, man. It's been a long time. How's it going, Brad? Hope you're keeping well, mate. You're a Man United fan, and you've put in another comment. West Ham versus Manchester United prediction. Mine's 1-1. I can't remember what I went for that game now. I think I actually went for a 1-1 draw myself. I think West Ham have been decent this season. I think they've played some good football. Obviously, Moyes has been under a lot of pressure, but they seem to be stringing some results up, and they seem to be, playing for the manager now. How long that lasts, I don't know, but they seem to be a solid side to beat. Man United have been a bit hot and cold. 1 minute they'll win, next minute they'll lose. I don't think you've been convincing. I will say that, to be honest. I don't think Ollie's the right man for Manchester United. That's just my opinion. I think you need a better manager who is more experienced, and you need a manager who can manage big players. I just don't think you can. In these type of games, this is where you come unstuck. Obviously, you've got them tonight at tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or Sunday? I can't remember. At the Olympic Park. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just think, obviously, Man United have had Champions League. They've had a big match against PSG. And then, obviously, West Ham, I think they come off the back of a win, I believe. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm just going to stick my neck on the line and just go for a 1-1. Lawrence Taylor, what would you have been at your score prediction if the game went ahead tonight? Actually, good question. What would the score have been? I would have went for a 2-1 Newcastle. I think just the fact it had been Villa, yes, they're a good side and they've beaten the likes of Liverpool, but they've come unstuck against the likes of Brighton. And I just think, given the fact we've beaten Crystal Palace, we're coming off a bit of a high. So, yeah, 2-1, 1-1. I'd never like to back against the lads if I know if we've won a game and we're looking all right. Yeah, I would probably say 2-1 Newcastle. But then I would have taken the point, though. I'd be quite content with a point. Yeah, I think a lot of fans would be away from home. Is it raining where you are? Yes, it's not a very nice day. It's been raining non-stop. It's been that type of day. I thoroughly agree with you about Ollie. I just don't think he's the right man for Manchester United. I said it. The minute we beat Manchester United 1-0 with Matty Longstaff, he should have left there and then. And that was about a year and a couple of months ago. And they've still got him. Maybe he's just the cheap appointment for the Glaziers. But listen, I just don't think Man United are ever going to win anything or progress whilst Ollie is the manager. That's just my opinion. It's like Steve Bruce is the manager. We're not going to do anything under Steve Bruce unless we've got the right the right ownership in. But then Steve Bruce for me isn't the answer. Gabe Itch says, just got a win on Warzone, mate. Can I have a round of applause? Well done, mate, for a good win on Warzone. Congratulations, mate. Favourite bread brand? Oh, favourite bread brand. Okay. Obviously, you've got like Warburton's, you've got 50-50. I do like 50-50, to be honest. Obviously, nothing too much, nothing too less, sort of down the middle. Yeah, I think that's been a recurrence of the questions actually tonight. Be very 50-50, just playing it safe. Yeah, that would have to be my. I wouldn't say favorite. I don't think I have a favorite bread brand, to be honest. But if I was just to pick one, it would just be 50-50, just straight to the point. Just get it off the shelf, get it in the cupboard, or get it in the pot, wherever you put your bread on, in the bread box, whatever. So yeah, that's probably what I would go for. But maybe I'll go for something else. I don't know. Brad the lad, what do you think of the job Ralph Hasenhüttl has done at Southampton? In my opinion, I think he's done a very good job. I think he's a manager who, for me, could manage a club that's trying to get into that top 7. He's sort of in that bracket with Sean Dyche, because you look at Sean Dyche at Burnley, he's done a good job as well with next to no money, and he's kept that club in the Premier League. And given what happened to Southampton last season when they lost 9-0 to Leicester, they could easily have sacked him. So you've got to give the Southampton board a bit of credit for that. And he's just managed to build his philosophy in terms of keeping the ball and pressing teams and hitting them on the counter attack. And since that defeat, they've just come through leaps and bounds, strength to strength. And I just think Southampton are, a side that are progressing all the time, and they're not in the top 6 for no reason, because they've worked hard to get there. And the manager's got the best out of the likes of Danny Ings. They've sold a few players, and the Højbjerg going to Spurs, I thought that might have stopped that progress. But fair play to him. I think he just needs to keep, working hard, keep striving. And if I was him, if the offer comes of a club maybe looking to get in that top 7, like an Everton or fingers crossed to Newcastle, I'd take them. Have you ever been abroad? If so, where? Yeah, I've been abroad. I mean, I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to France, etc. Obviously, looking to go to Portugal as well when the lockdown's over. I want to watch a Benfica match, and I also want to go to Lisbon. I want to go and tour the area of Lisbon, and I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Croatia. I want to go to many places. I've got a few on my list, so fingers crossed that can happen. But where we are at the minute, it's looking impossible, but nothing is impossible. But yeah, I will be looking to do a lot more, vlogs maybe, abroad, if that's something you'd like to see. Gabe said, yeah, 50-50 is a good choice. It actually is a good choice. I mean, it sounds very basic, but I think it's the sort of bread that actually I've been used to over the years. Obviously, I've had Warburtons and all that, but I just think it's a sort of bread I enjoy. And if you enjoy it, then, why change it? Do you struggle with your mental health? Good question. I'm usually okay, to be fair. How do I describe this one? I mean, you have your good days and your bad days, but I'm a sort of person that, it sounds mad, I try not to open up too much, because I just feel like, they say men's obviously got to get on with it, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's probably the way I work. I don't know, I just get on with it, so to speak. I mean, if I'm feeling down, it's only me that can fix it. But I just try and have a smile on my face. I just try and stay happy. Just try and get on with it. I mean, we're all going through struggles, and I've always said, if people need to message me, have a chat, I'm only a message away. I wouldn't ever judge anyone, because we're all go through times in life where it's tough. 1 minute it's looking good, the next minute, you hit a bit of a brick wall. And people's mental healths have been sort of challenged over the course of lockdown. But, I've coped, I've survived in doing things like going on walks, running, chatting to people where I can. It's helped, massively. Do you know what I mean? I'm the sort of person where it sounds mad. I wait to be spoken to, so to speak. If someone sees us, then I'll talk, but I'm not one of them to go and approach them unless I know them very well. I've always been like that, and I won't change. But my mental health's been okay, to be fair. Obviously, with the lockdown sort of coming to an end and light at the end of the tunnel, it's sort of helped that big time in terms of my mental health. But I've been okay, to be fair. Brad the Lad, don't have a brand, but I like seeded bread. I do like seeded bread, to be fair. Ant and Deck, I like both. There's no real, yeah. Do you have any good recommendations for gas and lecky suppliers? That's a strange question. I don't actually, to be honest. I mean, if you let us know what's your problem, then I might be able to recommend you one. But again, you're talking like numbers and whatnot. Sean Dyche is a pile of bollocks, in my opinion. I think he will be sacked, at some point this season. I don't think Burnley will ever sack Sean Dyche because he's done such a good job. If anything, he'll walk away from the club because Burnley would not be in the position that they're in without Sean Dyche. And he's the sort of manager who I think needs that step up in management. He gets made to look a bad manager because he manages Burnley and they don't have all the resources. But I look at the job that he's done, and I look at like our squad and what Burnley had. You could see he was raging, not because of like we played well. It's because we had technically better players that could, go from like a 1-1 draw to to winning the game 3-1, and that's the difference. And he's a sort of manager who he had a bit of experience at Europa League, but they didn't manage to get in the group stages. And yes, as much as he wants to be in the Premier League, I'm sure deep down, he wants that challenge. And unless Burnley get a takeover, that's not happening anytime soon. So I look at him as a manager. He needs to be in that bracket of clubs that are trying to get in that last Europa League spot. So you look at clubs like ourselves, Everton, just to name a few. Do you want to visit America? I would actually like to visit America. Quite expensive, mind, but it's definitely on my bucket list of countries and places to visit, in the future. So, right now, obviously, all stuck on lockdown, but I'm always writing lists. I'm always writing, to visit places. I like to go to Philadelphia sometime in the future. Wouldn't mind going there either. Let's have a look. Alan Cockburn. Who was the best manager in the world? Well, if you're going on managers of my time, I'd have to say Alex Ferguson. You can't argue with the trophies that he's won. At Manchester United, and you could say there was really much competition, but not just at Man United, but like in Aberdeen and places like that. He's had such a good managerial career. Looking at other managers, like Mourinho's decent, but I don't think Mourinho is anywhere near Alex Ferguson. As much as I love Mourinho as a manager, and I'd love to see him at the Toon one day, I just don't think he's on the same level as Alex Ferguson. And that sort of pains me to say because we were often rivals with Manchester United, but you can't argue with his CV. And I'm sure many managers now are trying to be like Alex Ferguson. I think that's what most managers are trying to get to, but it's going to be difficult, with modern day football the way it is. I have awful mental health, and I have for the past 7 years. I mean, that's sorry to hear about that, mate. It's like I say, especially with the lockdown, it's been very difficult. But never keep it silent. Always open up, to people. There's always people out there who will, chat to you and try and big you up and try and build you up your confidence. And bad things don't last forever. I'm a firm believer in that, and you've just got to just take each day, each week as it comes, and good things happen to those who wait. And yeah, Brad the Lad, my mental health was horrible. I had terrible anxiety and awful thoughts on others, and I used to feel so guilty. I think we all struggle with our own mental health, one way or the other. But that's why, for me, I tend not to judge people. I tend not to speak bad of people because you just don't know what people are going through. And I just think, for myself, I mean, people see you differently. I mean, not everyone will see you as like, oh, you're a nice person, or this person's horrible and whatnot. But for me, I'm quite grounded, to be fair. I mean, I don't like to make a scene. Thank you for sharing that. I felt pretty low and down since lockdown. Well, that's why these videos are out, and that's why I'm doing the likes of the watch-alongs and this sort of Q&A, so you can ask us questions. You can watch along, and for a couple of hours, it's give you a bit of something to do. You know what I mean? It's sort of taking your mind off other things, and you can focus on this video and get interactive in the comments. Let's have a look at some more comments. But I like them both. Yeah, I do. Honestly, I can't. I was brought up around Ant and Dec as well, and I can't separate them both if I'm honest. Brad the lad, but now I've turned everything around and feel like a new person. That's great, mate. I mean, even myself, though, I've still got to change the way I go about in life. Especially 2021. There's a few things that you regret maybe doing or saying or whatever. But for me, sometimes I don't have many regrets. Life is life, and you move forward and you don't look back, and that's the way I look at it now. As life, just keep moving forward, and at the end of the day, you'll get to where you want to be. You'll get from A to B. It just takes time. Sometimes it takes months, takes years. Sometimes it takes decades. But good things come to those who wait. I would like to go. Let's have a look. I would like to go to Texas or Chicago. Very interesting, mate. Very, very interesting. You're a fan of the King L209 or Hockey 100 on Twitch? If not, who is your fave? I do watch Twitch sometimes, but not all the time. I've got like people who I actually watch, like who I've been watching for years. So for me, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of them. It's a case of I maybe just haven't watched and I need to watch the odd video. Alan says, bad things don't last forever, but Mike Ashley seems to be lasting forever. Yeah, it is, mate. He's been here for, 13 years now and counting. It is frustrating. It is depressing. And that's why I get so frustrated when I keep hearing about this takeover talk, because you just want somebody to come out and say that the club has been sold and that we can move forward. I'm sick of hearing this has happened in the papers, that's been said, he or she's come out and saying this to that. It's just, I'm getting drained and tired of hearing it all and reading about what's going on. You just want the outcome of Mike Ashley sold the club and Newcastle can go forward. Because right now, we're not going to go forward. We can never go forward until he sells. I just don't understand how difficult it can be to sell or buy a Premier League club for the fan base that we have. I really don't get it. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, we're going to try and resurrect the takeover of the Saudis. I'm not saying that the Saudis would never come back in, but I'm keep hearing things like, it's going to happen, it's not going to happen, it is, it's not, it is, it's not. And your head's just like that because you just want something to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just like when you hear things like Newcastle's going to court with the Premier League and this, that, and the other, it doesn't do our fan base any good. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're getting dragged into something that we didn't really want to be part of. If only this takeover in the summer went through smoothly and there wasn't problems, then we wouldn't be sat here right now thinking, what if, or the takeover could be happening, because that's all I seem to hear is it could be. Until it's fact, it's not fact. That's the way I see it. 2021 is going to be a legendary year. I hope it is for everyone. Yeah, I wish 2021 happiness and success to everyone who watches this channel, because everyone deserves a better 2021 after what's been a very disappointing start to the decade. 2020, it's been an absolute disaster. So for me, yeah, I do wish everyone good health and ready to go for 2021. Everyone's getting back to normal, back into football grounds, and you don't have to do any of the social distancing, wearing of masks, because it is frustrating. Don't get us wrong, and we just need to try and keep going forward. What supermarket do you like to shop in? So are you on about like shopping in terms of food or shopping in terms of going to the town for clothes or whatnot? I mean, if you're talking about a shop, obviously I'm quite close to Asda, so for me it'll be Asda. Iceland, maybe something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too fussy on like supermarkets. As long as I can get what I want, then I'm happy. Why do you think Newcastle players prefer to pass them backwards? I think it's all down to confidence. I think it's all down to nerves. It's all down to formation. Steve Bruce obviously was playing 5 at the back. You sort of reverted back to 4 at the back against Crystal Palace, but was he forced to play in 4 at the back? Maybe so. I don't know. I just think it's all down to the fact that we're not the managers that we have. For me, I think it all stems down to the ownership. He doesn't want to attack sides. Mike Ashley just believes in mid-table. and something obviously gets said behind the scenes, because I don't agree with things like, oh well, Mike Ashley doesn't have a say, or Lee Charnley doesn't have a say. They all have a say in terms of how they go about information to the managers, which they then have to pass on to the captain, to the squad, to how they go into games. Because if I was the manager, for me, it would be attacking. I don't mind getting beat 3 or 4-0 as long as I have a go. Do you know what I mean? I'd be more than happy to say, right, okay, we lost 3 or 4-0, but we've had a go. We've worked the goalkeeper. But this whole like 1 or 2 shots on target for me is no good. Even some games we're not even having 1 shot, which for being in the Premier League is quite shocking. The possession stats. I mean, our stats at the minute are on the floor. They really are. I mean, only Crystal Palace, I think, have got the worst possession stats in the Premier League. I could be wrong, and you could kind of see that in the game last Friday, that there wasn't much in it. A couple of bits of brilliance from Joelinton won us the game. King J Gaiman says, favourite movie? Mine is Ladyboy Lickfest. Difficult to really say. I've got quite a few that I watch on Netflix that I've watched in the past. Difficult one to answer, fortunately, mate. If you walked into your house and saw Steve Bruce nicking all the biscuits, what would you do to stop him? Well, for one, I'll be a bit surprised. And then knowing me, because I'm quite laid back, I'd say, right, just take them. If you want the biscuits, take them, but don't be managing Newcastle United Football Club under that one condition. Obviously, I wouldn't be happy, but it's a pack of biscuits, isn't it? I mean, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to chase them down the street, because you can probably go to the shop and get a pack for like £1. Alan asked, you excited UK has approved the vaccine? I suppose it's light at the end of the tunnel. Am I happy? Yeah, I mean, I have to be after what's been a very dull year for everyone. It just seems as if this like whole vaccine was never going to happen, and that it was going to happen maybe a couple of years down the line. But then to say that it's here and that they are doing testing, I'm still 50-50 with it, if I'm honest. I really am 50-50 with it, because as much as they're going to test the most important people like the NHS, for me, it's the whole side effects. It just takes one person or 2 people to have a reaction of it. It's just, I don't want to think about it. And then all of a sudden, the cases go back up again. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that there's nothing bad in it. That, yeah, they're saying it's, 90-95% approved. I suppose we'll have to trust them. But am I going to have the vaccine? Well, I'll wait and see. I mean, I probably will in the end. But I'm in no rush to get it. Do you know what I mean? I'm in no rush to get this vaccine. But if it's going to keep people safe in the long term, then I suppose we're just going to have to go along with it. Hey, Norwich City Sentinel, one of my favourite YouTubers as well. Favourite YouTubers content you watch? I watch yours. Just to say that I do watch Jack Reeve as well. 2 YouTubers that I grew up watching. I really do enjoyed your watch along last week, and your vlogs that you've done as well, going back to Carroll Road and whatnot. I used to like watching the True Georgie. I do like watching the kickoff, but unfortunately that's been moved to Twitch now. I do like watching KSI. I do like watching Road to Show. I do like watching who else do I like watching? There's a few, to be honest. There's a few. I mean, I like watching people who climb buildings and whatnot. Ali Lowe is the one I watch as well. I know there's a lot of some people like him, some people don't, but I think he's an absolute legend. Honestly, Ali Lowe's brilliant. Madness, and I appreciate his content. I know what he does is quite dangerous, but life is life, isn't it? Life is to be lived. Are you going to get the vaccine, mate? Like I say, I'll wait and see what the side effects are. If people are okay with it and people aren't getting any reactions, then I'm sure I'm going to be last in the queue. There's no question about it. But yes, I will get the vaccine if it means it's going to keep me safe. If it means I can get back to normal and go on holiday, go to work, go to sporting events, cinemas, anywhere like that, I'll definitely take it. Because, like I say, I mean, do I really need it right this moment? No, is the answer. But later on down the line, I probably will need it in order to protect myself and other people. Arsenal Vlogs, he says, how are you? Yes, not too bad, mate. How's yourself? Hope you're keeping well. quite a lot of comments coming in now. Do you agree that in some areas of Newcastle there are a few scruff bags knocking about? I mean, let's be honest, there's scruff bags knocking around everywhere. So I can't just say Newcastle. I mean, everywhere has them. But then it depends on people's situations. Like I say, I don't like to judge people because you don't know what their upbringings have been. You don't know, what they're going through in life. And for me, it tend to focus on myself and what I can control. I can't control, other people's lives, and that's not something I would do. Also, vlogs. Would you like to do a Newcastle versus Arsenal preview? Yes, I would love to do an Arsenal versus Newcastle preview. We've got you twice actually in the space of a couple of weeks in January. I'm sure you're happy that you got us in the FA Cup. It's going to be, I would say, an easier game for you than it would be for us on our side of things. Hi, Lewis, Norwich City Central. If you remember me, I'm sure you probably watch his channel. Crazy Ginger Jack Holden. Give me a hold, yeah, and yeah, I'm gonna. Someone else watches Ali Low as well. Arsenal vlogs. Do you think this virus pandemic will ever end? Yes, it will end. It's just people need to be safe. People need to be sensible, but the government as well need to be advised correctly, because so far it's just you hear one thing, then you hear the other. You just don't know who to believe. But yes, all things will come to an end eventually. And that's the same with the whole pandemic. It's all about just staying positive and, like I say, following the guidelines. And I'm sure eventually we'll get back into stadiums. I'm confident of that. And I believe when the 16th of December comes, the whole North should be put in Tier 2, just like London, because I just don't see what London is any different to the North East. If anything, London should be in Tier 3, not the North East. Or if anywhere up north. Crazy to think. Honestly, absolutely crazy. Norwich City Central. Hey, Brad. Yeah. Okay, Alan, I am signing off. Thanks for your videos and look forward to the next Q&A. No problem, mate. Thanks very much for being part of the stream tonight, and be good to see you back very, very soon. And I appreciate everyone who's watched tonight. We are still going for a good half an hour, 45 minutes. I'll keep it to 2.5 hours, just like the watch along, and we'll try and call it an end by 8:30. But if you haven't liked the stream, make sure you have. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified for any videos that are released. And the videos will get better, I promise you. It's just right now, it is a bit dull because I'm stuck at home. But once we get back at the stadiums, I'll be doing my matchday vlogs. Don't you worry about that. I'm sure you used to enjoy them, and that's not going to change. And I'll get back to doing my previews, my reviews outside the ground. Also, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that as well, and keep dropping your comments down below about anything that you want to say. It could be Newcastle, football, life, just, yeah. Okay, so we've got another one. Would you rather hear a woof or a meow? Well, I've had a dog, so I'd rather hear a woof rather than a meow. I'm not a big cat fan, to be fair. Can't stand cats. Brad, the lad, says, it really is. My second team is Sheffield Wednesday, so it's going to be interesting tomorrow, mate. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday are a big club. I'd love to see them back in the Premier League very, very soon. The FA Cup is exciting this year. Marine versus Tottenham. Yes, that's the whole magic of the Cup. That's why I like it, because these non-league sides could match up against the Premier League side. It's a shame it's not us, but Marine have got the dream tie, if you like. They could argue maybe we could go to the new Tottenham ground, but to get a home tie against Tottenham, a Premier League side, the money that's going to bring to that club, hopefully, fingers crossed, and get some crowds in. It'd be excellent, for that level of football, for that football club going forward. That money could build them a new stand. It could get them some new players which can fire them up the footballing pyramid. And that's the Cup. That's what it can do if you take it seriously. Would you like to do a Newcastle preview? Yes, I'd do both, mate. That's absolutely fine. When the time comes and Newcastle are playing Arsenal, then yeah, no problem. Just drop us a message on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, we'll get that sorted. Crazy Ginger, Jake Holden. I think it will be late 2022 when it ends, probably maybe 2023. I'd like to think it's going to be over by then. I'd like to think in the next, hopefully, I would say 6 to 10 months, that we could be back to full normality. But in terms of getting football fans into stadiums, like probably 100% full, you could be talking maybe March, April. That's at a push. It all depends how it all goes at this moment in time. I mean, from what I'm hearing, there's been fans at Arsenal, there's been fans at Shrewsbury, Carlisle, and it's been no cases. So it's only early days, but listen, we're making steps, and that's the main thing. We're going forward, and like I say, it's been dull, not watching games at the stadium because I want to go and pay me money to watch Newcastle, and I don't care how crap we are. I just want to go and watch Newcastle. I have big plans to go this season, at the start, and it's not happened. Have you checked my other channels? Yeah, you've got quite a few, to be fair. You've got is it the IQ challenge? You've got a couples channel, I believe, and you've got another one. You may have to let us know down below in the comments, mate. But I'm sure you've got a few, and they are good channels, and you're doing really well. It's just a shame that you didn't keep your Arsenal vlogs account that you had previously, because you built quite a few subscribers on there. Obviously, Arsenal being a big club, you gain more of a fan base, more subscribers. But you were doing so well. Do you know what I mean? I would never have gave up my channel for the sake of one bad comment, because on YouTube you're there to be shot at. That's absolutely fine. I'll take it on the chin if it was me. Is there a team from another country you like? I do like Benfica from Portugal. The club that I kind of took a lot of love towards when they visited St James's Park in the Europa League 2013. Got such a good fan base, and I was just wowed by the support, and you're seeing the atmosphere and what it was like on that whole night. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to Lisbon, but when I do go to Lisbon, I do want to watch Benfica in a match, and I do want to take in the atmosphere. I do want to visit a lot of European grounds, to be fair. I am a keen traveller, so it's something I want to do, in the future, and hopefully in the next few months to a year or so, and vlog it for the channel, as an experience. I do like Borussia Dortmund. I like Inter Milan. I like Real Madrid. They're sort of the clubs that I pick out from other countries. But my main love will always be obviously Newcastle. I do like the non-league scene. I do go watch Gateshead, Blythe, Newcastle, Benfield. You've seen the content for yourself on the channel. I do like to watch football. I do like to give back, to the grassroots where football, made its name, and you should never forget, where football come from. And I do like to support, those lower down, because they really do play, for the badge. They play for the passion, and you just see it. For example, watching Gateshead versus Blythe last season, it's passion, and they need the money, all the money they can get. And I will be watching more non-league as well when it's safe to do so. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in the coming weeks I can watch Gateshead, because I have missed watching them and Blythe, and clubs around the area such as Newcastle, Benfield. So it's been that type of year, unfortunately. I really am grateful for this stream. It helps me to take my mind off other problems. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, if anyone's got any problems, if anyone would like to chat, just drop us a private message. I don't mind, chatting to people if it helps them. And we're all going through problems. That's normal. What are you asking for Santa for Christmas? I have got something in mind. It's something that I've wanted for a while, and it's a Fitbit. For when I do me walking, so I can track down, my heart rate. I can track down, my steps and other things, and it's something I'm actually looking forward to getting. Fingers crossed. Something that's going to come in handy in 2021. Nice bit of kit, but it'll help in other areas as well. But like I say, when I look at Christmas this year, I just don't think it's going to be the same, and I don't like to put it down on it. I just think, for the way the year's been, I just don't know how it can be the same. But there we go. I just know next year will be better for many different reasons. Arsenal vlogs. This is Luca's life. That's it. Yes, because you do a lot of your vlogs on that as well, I remember. I like Philly Union from the USA. Yeah, they're a good side. I'm MLS side, aren't they? MLS I don't really watch a lot of, but I have seen highlights of games. The likes of Seattle Sounders. I've seen LA Galaxy, Atlanta. So there are some good sites in there, but the coverage just isn't as strong over here, because obviously we're not, from America. It's only ever good if you live over there, but the Premier League just dominates, doesn't it? Because the Premier League's the big league. You've got your La Liga. You've got your big sides in there. Arsenal vlogs. What's happening to Arsenal? Can't beat anyone. Are we the new Newcastle? I don't think you're the new Newcastle. I just think I just don't understand why you're not playing Mesut Ozil. You know, this is a guy who you can say what you want about him, but he's probably your best player at the club alongside Aubameyang and possibly Lacazette. He's a player who I just don't understand how he can, you know, fund for your dinosaur, but yet your club don't give him game time. Yeah, he's on a lot of money, but so what? You know, you've paid the money for him. You've got to play him. And to not really include him in your starting 25 is just absolutely amazing. The fact that he's just sat on the bench, you know, and he's not even on the bench. He's just basically being the go-to man for motivation. You know what I mean? He's not a motivational speaker. He's a footballer. Arsenal have just ruined his career. If I was him, I'd be looking to try and get a club in January. But the problem is, who's going to be able to afford him? That's it. They're definitely going to be in and around the few deals, the Newcastle January window verdict. Listen, I understand where you're coming from with the takeover, but I'm not going to get too hyped up about it because I've been there before with it and people keep talking about it. But until it happens now, it's not really worth talking about. My focus has now always been, you know, supporting the team and getting 3 points on the weekend. Until another story comes back and it looks as if something is going to happen, then we'll talk about it then. But in terms of the January, difficult to really say. We're hearing rumours that we could be getting loan deals in. We're not going to have much money to spend and Brexit and whatnot. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the January when that comes around. Also, vlogs. Spurs 3-0. Yes, you got a London derby on Sunday. Good luck with that. I think I've gone for a 2-2 draw in that one. I just think because Arsenal and Spurs have both had, you know, Europa League on the same night, same day. It's just recovery time. It's who wants the game most. It tends to finish a draw. I think it was Tottenham who won it last year, but 9 times out of 10 it seems to finish a draw. On this Lucas Life, I have 416 subs. Mate, keep smashing it. You'll get to 1,000 eventually. Do you watch Match of the Day? Yes, I did mention that, mate, at the start of the stream. I watch it pretty much every weekend unless I'm busy. Then I will watch it up on catch up. I've always been brought up around Match of the Day, but listen, if I cannot watch it, I cannot watch it. You know, I just tend to watch it, you know, where I can. But I do watch it, like I say, 9 times out of 10. Okay, brother lad, what you saying? Which Premier League club would you compare them to? I'd say Fulham or Brighton. It's hard to question, I know, but just thought I'd ask for fun. Yeah, it's a difficult one to be honest, because Fulham and obviously Brighton are 2 different types of sides. Brighton are well established now, I would say, in the Premier League. Fulham, they were well established and had a couple of relegations. They're trying to get there. I'd probably just say Brighton, Brighton. I'll stick with Brighton. Crazy Ginger Jack Holden. I don't think a takeover will happen in 4 years. Hope it's quicker though. I think it's all about being patient. It will happen sooner rather than later. It's just a case of I'll wake up one morning, there's a Sky Sports message saying Newcastle United have been taken over by so and so and so and so, and that we can move forward. Because right now, you know, we've had the Bin Zai group who are now allegedly taking over Derby, and then we've had obviously the Saudis, which don't seem to have gone away. But the more I keep hearing about it, these problems in the background, the optimism's just gone from there down to there. And for me, I'm more down to, I don't know. I just, you know, I want the takeover to happen, but it's got to be the right people. I just don't understand if it's to do with Mike Ashley or if it's to do with the buyer or if it's to do with the Premier League, because obviously something's happened in the background. So the Premier League have obviously interfered and something's happened. They're obviously not happy with something of the Saudis, so it's obviously on their side that the Premier League are not quite happy with. But I don't agree with the way the Premier League's handled it. I think they've been pretty poor, and I just don't think Richard Masters is, you know, fit to be a Premier League chief executive. I hope he's watching, because he's not, and I feel like he has really screwed Newcastle over, and you know, they don't want the top 6 to be bridged, and they're scared about it. But I don't even think there is a top 6 anymore, because you see the likes of Leicester and Wolves, they're all having to go, and with the money in the league now, it is making it more competitive. You know, clubs have that free will to go and buy players to push them up to that next level, whether you go from being, you know, a mid-table club to, you know, being up there. You know, Leicester went from being, you know, a club bottom of the Premier League to winning it, to now being a rock solid top 6 side. You know, Wolves top 7 side. So for me, I just think that they just don't like the idea of, obviously, Newcastle have got a good fan base. They don't want another side to outdo the top six, which I don't understand, because they were happy for Chelsea and Man City. So why can't they be happy for us? It makes absolutely no sense. All right, okay, yeah. So you're trying to compare them to Philly Union. All right, okay. Well, if that's the case, sorry, I would say Fulham, because Fulham have got some bang average players on that side, but they've got some grafters there. That's what I will say about them. Arsenal vlogs. What if Arsenal comes back and flops because he isn't consistent? I can see why he's inconsistent, because, if the manager or if those behind the scenes at Arsenal don't have faith in him, then why is he going to put 100% effort in? You know what I mean? Like, if those behind the scenes at Arsenal don't seem to care less about Mesut Ozil, then why is he going to perform on the pitch? At the end of the day, when you sign for a football club, you want it all to go together. You want the ownership, the manager, the players to be right behind that player that signs for the club. So Ozil, in this case, for me, he should be captain. He should be one of the first names on the team sheet, because Mesut Ozil, he played for Real Madrid. He just won some of the biggest trophies, and yet he can't get an Arsenal side. That's why you're so inconsistent. I think you're missing his type of player in your side, and that's no disrespect to what you've got, but you need Champions League players. You need more experience, and that's what he's lacking right now. And obviously, with Aubameyang signing that contract, obviously it's good news for you. But if you had lost him over the summer, I think you would have been screwed. Who's going to win the league? I say Chelsea. I actually went for Liverpool at the start of the season, and I don't change my mind. Spurs are looking good. Chelsea have looked decent this season. I think it's quite an open league, which is what I like to see. Last year, it was too predictable. Man City were nowhere near where they should be, and you could say the same this season. They're starting to sort of pull it back. But I think it's more down to the fact that Liverpool ran away with it. They were too strong. They had to make up for the season before last. When they had 97 points and they should have won the league. If you have 97 points, you win the league 9 times out of 10. But then you look at even the relegation zone was competitive to a point. So I think the whole season, I think it's all there to play for, and I like it. I like it when there's 4 or 5 teams, 6 teams that can compete. A lot can change over Christmas because the games are coming thick and fast. Arsenal vlogs. Remember Baku 2019, he flopped from home. But he shouldn't just get judged on that one game, though, because your whole side flopped. And you have never really recovered from that. Yeah, you won the FA Cup. But then, for me, I look at Ozil. He is a big game player, but Chelsea, for me, wanted him more. I think Chelsea have got a better side than Arsenal. This is the thing. And Chelsea had no pressure. Yous were playing for pressure because Chelsea had already qualified for the Champions League. And they say if you win the Europa League, you get Champions League anyway. Whereas for Arsenal, you had already qualified for Europa League. But if you had won the Europa League, you would have got Champions League for the first time in whenever the last time you were in it. But I just think, for me, the pressure was always on you in the final. And when you go into a final with no pressure, in a club like Chelsea, who have won things like the Premier League, the Champions League, and the the Europa League, they're happy just to sit back and allow the team pressurized, put the pressure on. And I feel like you played to Chelsea's game. That's the way I see it. And Chelsea were just picking his off in that final, and I think the better side won. Like I say, with no pressure on, if you play with confidence, which Chelsea did, then it's done them the world of good. Is it not time to change into your pajamas? No, it's not. It's too early. Brad the Lad on VAR. I'm all for VAR, but I just don't think that the Premier League are quite grasping it. I just don't think we've got the people behind the scenes that know how to work it properly. The decisions are farce, in my opinion. Some of these decisions, like your arms offside or your toes just above, the defense. It's absolutely ludicrous. Like how you can deny goals from your arm being out like that. For example, Patrick Bamford for Leeds away to Crystal Palace. I mean, for me, that's a stonewall goal. In my opinion, you can't score a goal with your arm. You can score with your feet, though. And he didn't score with his arm, he scored with his feet. That's where they need to look at that rule. For me, they need to get that out. Yes, we got lucky against Tottenham. I'll put my hands up and say we were awful in that game. But, at the end of the day, for me, they need to speed up the decisions, because it worked so well in the World Cup. But so far in the Premier League, it's been a little bit of a disaster. Timing, but also at the very start of using VAR, it took for months when I forgot his name now. Oh man, what's his name? His name escapes us. Referee. Well, he's from Northumberland. What's he called now? Anyway, it took him to go to the monitor to make a decision because they were just relying on Stockley Park. Like, you don't do that. Like, as a referee, you've got to take control of the situation. You're in charge of that game, and they've got to be helped out by their linesmen and the fourth official. And I'm glad now common sense has been used, but I still think they're getting so many decisions wrong, and it's really ruining my love for the Premier League. David Coote, MUFC legend. Have you ever been into the Newcastle club shop? In my opinion, it is embarrassing because they sell a load of bollocks at very high prices. Yes, I have been in the Newcastle United club shop, and yes, I have bought something from there. But that was like pre-championship, from like the first time I got relegated. I haven't bought anything from Sports Direct since Mike Ashley's been, well, since we got relegated, to be fair. So just over a decade. Yes, I've been in it, but it's more just to look around. If I want Newcastle gear, then I'll just get it from like JD, or I'll just go somewhere that's not putting money in his pocket. You'll get a percentage. I mean, that's correct. But it is expensive, and the club shop is embarrassing, and the club need to look at that. You know, our club shop is basically Sports Direct. You know, when they're selling Barcelona kits and other clubs' merchandise besides your own, that's embarrassing. You know, I've got nothing but bad things to say about the club shop, and it needs to be changed. VAR is great, just used wrongly, and the rules need to be more clear. That's it. It's all about communication. That's what it comes down to. When I watch Premier League matches and I see it on Match of the Day, how some of the decisions they don't say, I don't understand. I mean, I think it was the Merseyside derby when Liverpool got the late winner. For me, that should have stood. Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you deny that it's not being a goal? It's absolutely crazy. You're like offsides and whatnot. Yes, Michael Oliver, that's him. It took for him, to look at the monitor to approve a situation. Then everyone was clapping like, "Oh, it's only taken you 6 months," but that should never have happened. It should never have taken 6 months to approve a decision. Like, a referee, if he wants to go and look at the TV monitor, then he has full rights, or he or she in this case has full rights to have a look at that, and not only just rely on Stockley Park, because Stockley Park can say one thing, but the referee, for me, has the final say on the game. They're in control of the match, and it doesn't matter how big or small the game is. They need to get on top of this VAR, because I'm all for it, but the longer it confuses everyone, the longer that the rules are unclear, people are going to fall out of love with it, and they're going to continue to, for me, go against it and not want it back. And when we all asked for VAR, it was all about trying to deny the top 6 sides and try to have a fair game. But at this moment in time, I don't know. I'm like I say, I'm all for VAR, but they really need to work at it and change it. Which ref annoys you the most? I don't know, to be honest. There's a few. I remember that Simon Hooper, when he refereed Fulham versus Newcastle in the Championship. What a bollocks of a referee he was. The one against Forest in the Championship, he was an utter disgrace as well. To be honest with you, I try not to focus too much on the referee. I try and just focus on the lads and their performance and how they go about the game, and trying to put the ball in the back of the net and defending when we need to. Because at the end of the day, the referee needs to do their job, but they need to get it right. Okay, we do, gone off the wrong sides of decisions, but we do get, the other side of decisions. We had it, away to Tottenham. Let's have a look at this one. VAR is killing the Premier League. Sadio Mane in the Merseyside derby was an absolute joke. Was his arse hair offside? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's small margins with this VAR, and I look at it with the arm being out like that, or your toe being just above, in front of the defence. It's absolutely comical. You just have to laugh sometimes, and honestly, it's an absolute joke. It really is an absolute joke, and they need to sort it out. Otherwise, it's going to become even more embarrassing, for the Premier League going forward. And if it's not embarrassing enough with the people that run it, such as Richard Masters, they need to make changes. That's the way I look at it. Exactly, ref needs to keep the same power. That's what I'm saying. Like, referees are there to referee the game. They're there to give out bookings where they need to. They're there to make the decisions that need to be made. And sometimes, they can't be over controlled by those at Stockley Park. I think they have an equal say, and you've got to, make the right decisions for the correct decision's sake. Now, this is an unpopular one, but I know Liverpool against Brighton, they were protesting against Brighton's penalty, but I think it's a penalty because you shouldn't go in like that. You just, if you sort of like jump in for a tackle, then you're sort of taking the risk inside the box, and it's one of them 50-50 decisions. I don't think the referee, for me, was wrong. I just think a decision's got to be made, because if you look at it, if Liverpool, right, in the 90th minute were 1-0 down and they managed to get a pen with a challenge like that, then they'll be in high heavens. They'll be for it. So, when Jurgen Klopp's coming out and moaning about it, I just think at the end of the day, the amount of decisions that you've been given over the course of last season and this season, you cannot really moan about it. Yes, the Merseyside derby, yeah, granted, okay, but that's VAR. That's the way it works. You've got to let the referee the game and make the decisions that are correct. All I'm saying is, if that had been, a Brighton player going in like that on a Liverpool player in the 90th minute, when Liverpool being 1-0 down, then there'd be hell on. Liverpool would be calling for it, and there'd be no questions asked, and then you'd have Graham Potter saying the same thing. So for me, I don't know. There's a fine line with VAR at this moment in time, but they need to really get on top of it. Otherwise, it's going to create more scenes, and it's going to get even more embarrassing if it isn't already. Chelsea versus Leeds is going to be a fantastic one. Yes, the Spygate situation from a couple of years ago when Bielsa still current Leeds manager and Frank Lampard being the Derby manager at the time. I don't think love has been lost between them, but I think Bielsa sort of understands and he's apologised. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game because Leeds have had a good start of the season, a very good win against Everton at Goodison Park, and Chelsea have had a good start of the season as well. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends a draw. I think I've gone for a 1-1 draw in my predictions. I could be right, I could be wrong. Your favourite movie, as I mentioned, I've got quite a few. I don't really have... I have favourite movies, but I don't have like one particular favourite, if you get where I'm coming from. The people who run VAR need to go back to nursery. They need to learn some of the rules of VAR. That's what they need to do. They need to learn off other leagues, such as rugby, and you look at American football, how it all gets run spot on, correct, and decisions get made quickly. Whereas in the Premier League, I think it's all too slow. And for a league that's all about competition, it's all about fast flowing football, VAR just tend to slow it down. So I think they need to look at that. Liam, Titanium 04, favourite match of 2019-20. If you could elaborate, is that any match in the Premier League or around the world, or is that Newcastle United? Let us know, mate, in your next comment. I will actually reply back to that. Just Boy 15, you should make second for FIFA gameplay and watch-alongs. Yeah, like I say, I'm trying to build a studio for next year so I can do a lot more watch-alongs, FIFA content, better quality. Just trying to move the channel on a bit further forward, because it's at this moment in time, it's on the floor. I need to try and build up my subscribers and build up my followers, and yeah. But like I say, YouTube for me is just a hobby, just for what I enjoy, supporting the club and talking to people like yourself, the fans. Liam, Titanium 04, isn't Peter going live at 9 PM tonight? I believe so. I think I heard something about that. But whether Peter goes live, that's another thing. I don't know too much about that. I've seen something, but I'm not too sure if it's the right day. I'm not too sure. Brad the lad, thoughts on what happened to Raul Jimenez at Arsenal? Yeah, it was a very bad collision, wasn't it? It was a collision that could really have ended the career of Jimenez, and he thought to go out to him, and I'm glad he's had a speedy recovery and he's doing all right. As for David Luiz, he should never have went back on the pitch, in my opinion. Shearer's correct. He should have went off, and he should have been replaced, because that's the difference between life and death. With a head injury, you shouldn't be back on that pitch, because anything can happen, and you've got to have the right protocols in place to. If an injury like that does happen, you've got to get players off the pitch as soon as possible and treat it with the right care. What have you been up to today? Today I have been on a walk. I've been doing a bit of running. I've been tidying up. I have just been doing some work on the computer, so on and so forth. And after this, I will be maybe chilling on a bit of Netflix, possibly watch a few movies, and catch up on a few YouTube videos. So yeah, that's the plans. And then this weekend, watch some football, have a couple of cans, and just go from there. Really, just what you would normally do in lockdown. I'm not a one to maybe go out into town because right now I think it's all too busy, and you've got to be prepared. Liam, favourite Newcastle United match of the 2019-2020 season? Well, I wasn't at any of them, but actually the match I was at has to be West Ham away, 3-2 win. We tried our best to bottle it from being 3-0 up, but we beat them, 3-2 down at the Olympic Stadium. It was my birthday treat. My first time at the Olympic Park. West Ham were under a lot of problems, with the ownership and players and whatnot. Pellegrini. It was just a good all-round day in London. I enjoyed it. In a way, I'll never forget. After going to the Leicester 5-0 away defeat, it was good just to go to another one and experience a win, like that. And the scenes as well when we scored the goals, and just everyone was so happy. In terms of home games, which I never went to any because I boycotted the season, but I will be back when it's safe. For the ones I watched, well, there's actually two, and they sort of rival each other. Manchester United, 1-0, Matty Longstaff scoring at the Gallowgate, young lad, Geordie lad. There's no better feeling scoring, your first Premier League goal, at the Gallowgate against Manchester United, and it's a winning goal as well. That's won with the game 1-0, putting further pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Brilliant. I mean, I would love to have been part of those scenes. And then Isaac Hayden as well, with the last kick of the game. A brilliant finished from a header and 1-0. You win the game with, like I say, virtually the last kick. Clean sheet. What more could you ask for? And these are the sort of sides you like to beat because, Man United and Chelsea, they weren't great games on the eye. We didn't really keep the possession enough. But, just good work by Jethro, and that's why I want him back in January, because he works ever so hard. I'm getting my bedroom renovated. Do you think I should get a carpet or a wood floor? That's a difficult one, to be fair. It's not really a question I can answer. If it was me, I'm more about carpet, but it has to be a good carpet. A carpet that's not going to get stained very easily. Just a carpet that looks part of the furniture, if you know what I mean, for what I want. I am more for carpet than I am a wooden floor. But if I was to ever have a wooden floor, I wouldn't really be too bothered. But yeah, if I was to pick between carpet or wooden floor, it would be carpet. But it would have to be a nice carpet, in my opinion. So I think that's the last of the comments, unless you've got any more that you want to fire away. But it's been good that you have come in tonight and we've had a bit of a chat. And we've caught up, because it's been difficult for everyone with the lockdown and obviously no game this evening. So a bit of a substitute with the Villa game being off, a bit of a Q&A. You can ask us anything you like from life, football, Newcastle, the channel. And we've had a bit of everything. And it's been great. And I appreciate all of your support. And for everyone who supports me, who supported me from the very get-go, 3 and a bit years now on YouTube. And I want to continue to grow the channel. And I'll be going live for maybe another 15 minutes, and then I will be calling it a night. Like I say, I will be back at some point next week for the West Brom preview. Fingers crossed if that goes ahead. Also vlogs. Yeah, but I understand, but Ozil never turns up away from home. We need Ozil from the 2015-16 season, or when he came first. Well, what's not to say that he wouldn't turn up, though? Right now, that he wouldn't give his all for Arteta. I just don't think he's really been given that chance, under Arteta. And how can Arteta say this or that against him? Because the lad's never really had a sniff, in that Arsenal first team. And I think, in my opinion, he's better than some of them players that are currently playing, for your first team. And you've got to put in your experienced players in your side. It's not down to, well, it shouldn't be down to money at the end of the day and saying, he costs too much or whatnot. Well, you bought him at the end of the day, so you've obviously seen something in him. You were daft enough to pay, what was it, 300 grand a week, something that he's on. But that's the sort of player you're going to get, from Real Madrid. They don't come with like having 50, 60 grand a week. If you play for Real Madrid, you're going to have extortionate wages, including your bonuses on top. from your sponsorships and bonuses for scoring goals, appearances, and minutes and whatnot. So I just think for Ozil, for an Arsenal fan, I'd be gutted that he's not playing because I think he's better than what you've got, personally, especially in that midfield. The carpet is £20 a square metre. It's not bad, to be fair. It depends what sort of carpet you're after because all carpets will vary in price. So yeah, we'll be going live for another 15 minutes and then we will wrap it up for another day. And like I say, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. It's free to do that. I want to try and keep pushing the channel further forward. Hit the like button if you haven't already. I don't know how many likes I've got, but make sure you do that. Put your comments down below, and you've still got time to fire your questions in at us. And also hit the notification bell so you never miss a video from myself. So any video that I release, you'll be one of the first to see it out on TOON ARMY TV. And when the football is back properly, we're back to full houses. I will be doing my match day experiences. That's a fact. So something I'm really looking forward to because right now I am finding it a little bit boring just sitting here doing the same old videos. Each weekend I want to get back to vlogging because that's what I enjoy. Bringing out a match day experience and videoing my life as a Newcastle fan and go to games and whatnot and just enjoying the experience. As a whole, and meeting other rival fans who I've met in the past. And I think Liam, West Ham fan, he's the one I've met, like Chappie from Leicester, Robbie Lyle from Arsenal Fan TV. You want to meet these sort of fans on your travels, but in lockdown you can't do any of that. So also I've met other like Newcastle United YouTubers just by doing this. So it's good. But do you think Arsenal do bring Ozil back? Do you think we'll win more games? Definitely 100%. If you get Ozil back on your side, you're going to instantly win more games because he carries a lot of experience. And maybe he just wasn't happy with Unai Emery. Maybe he just wasn't happy with post Arsene Wenger. Ozil, for me, won't be the same player then what he would be now. I think he would be a definite change player. He, for me, was a player in the summer who was ready to get back in the side. He was ready to go for the new season. And then from not to have been included in the 25-man squad, I think was quite gut-wrenching. If I was him, I'd be gutted. I'd be devastated. Because he's the sort of player who, has quality. It's not like he's just sat on the bench and he's not good enough. When you think of Mesut Ozil, you think decent player. He's played, for Germany. He's represented his country. Winning the World Cup. He's played for Real Madrid. Winning some of the biggest trophies. And the fact that Arsenal got him, and you're saying he's on 350k a week, then you're obviously seeing something in him to pay that sort of money. So I just don't understand why you bought him and you're paying him them sort of wages from not to get a game, and from not to be included in the side. It's just crazy. That's like Newcastle buying Callum Wilson and then saying, actually, all of a sudden, nah, we don't want you anymore. You've only scored 7 goals. We'll just have Joelinton. Do you know what I mean? I think there'd be hell on, at the club if that happened. So I understand your frustration. I mean, your fan base will be very 50-50 on him. But when I think of Mesut Ozil, there is a real talent there. He just needs the manager to believe in him. And I felt like Arteta would have been that man. And you can see already in certain sections of the Arsenal fan base that they're now starting to call for Arteta to go. Do I necessarily agree with it? No, because he won the FA Cup. And let's be fair, you weren't even favourites to win it. Man City were. And, you beat some good sides. You beat Chelsea in the final as well, who I think Chelsea were the favourites. You beat them. So, I just think with Ozil, it's a strange one. Seeing him on the bench. If I was him, and if there's anyone who could pay that sort of money, or if Arsenal can sort of come to a deal where you maybe send him out on loan, Arsenal pays half the wages, that club pays half the wages. It has to obviously be a top European club. He needs football. It doesn't matter where he goes, if it's an Atletico Madrid, or if he goes to a Barcelona, if he goes to anywhere in Germany, he needs that football. And at Arsenal right now, he's not getting it. What's your favourite food? I do like Italians. I do like Chinese food. What else do I like? So yeah, I'm very keen on them too, to be fair. I know there was a lot of things going on. Oh, I'm not going to have this or Chinese food because of what's happened. But, each to your own. That's what I say about that one. So yeah, that's my favourite food. I would say Chinese, then Italian, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I do like visiting restaurants where I can. Obviously, that's been impossible with what's going on at the minute. But Yep, we will be going live for another 10 minutes, and then we'll call it a wrap for the stream. There's 80 is watching, so if you could hit the like button and subscribe, it would really mean the world to us. And if you haven't already, please do. Drop some more comments in. You've got literally 10 minutes, and then I'm calling it for the rest of the night. Mine's Chinese food. Yep, I have to agree with that as well. Chinese is one of my favourite foods. But yeah, like I say, I appreciate everyone who's been in the live chat tonight, who's popped in, even anyone who's not really been a regular of the channel. It's always much appreciated. I do like to interact with everyone where I can. And yeah, like I say, it's a shame that Newcastle can't play tonight. But listen, there's bigger things in life than football, and this virus is obviously bigger than football. And we'll get back to the normality soon. And obviously Newcastle, fingers crossed, should be playing next week against West Brom, as long as we don't have any more confirmed cases of you know what. And so yep, just checking on that, just making sure I haven't missed any comments out, because that would be a real disaster if I didn't. No, I haven't. So yeah, I'll go quiet for maybe a couple of minutes. If we don't get any more questions or anything like that, then I will just wrap it up, just for the sake of time. I feel like I've been going on a bit too much now, with 2.5 hours, something like that. Yeah, 2 hours 20. So yeah, give it a couple of minutes. So any final questions, do drop them down below, and I will read them out. And like I say, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on the notification bell, and as said before, put your comments down below. That's the most important thing, so you can have your comments read out. After the live stream, what have you got planned for tonight? Well, tonight it's just chill on FIFA 21 on the PlayStation, followed by, I would say, a bit of Netflix, watch a movie, or I might beforehand catch up on some YouTube videos. So there's always stuff to do. Obviously, having your own place is always helpful, and you can do what you want whenever you like without being told otherwise. So yeah, plenty to look forward to tonight. I've got a bit of my voice has gone a little bit because I've been talking without a drink for 2.5 hours. I don't know how I've survived, but yeah, that's me plans for tonight. The weekend, like I say, keep an eye on the football, watch some football over the course of the weekend, see what's going on, and then I've got a quiz on Sunday night, and then we go into a new week. And fingers crossed, like I say, Newcastle are back in training on Monday, and we are back to watching Newcastle take on West Brom at St James's next Saturday afternoon in a must-win game. So that is the plans for the coming days. I mean, I do tend to do a lot of walking and running, so there will be things obviously in between all of that. So it's not all just based around football. I do a lot of other stuff in my free time. So yep, I believe that is the end of all of the comments. There's only 6 people watching, so I feel like now I'm going to wrap up the stream for tonight, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has watched. If you've watched for the first 2.5 hours, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone for your questions and for all of your support, and we've had a good conversation tonight. Thanks for all of the questions, and we'll do it again soon. I really have, appreciated tonight, and it is a shame, like I say, about the football, but listen, I don't mind doing this sort of stuff if it means people are watching and people are enjoying it. And before I wrap up the stream, just to say once more, please hit the like button on this stream if you're watching on the rerun. And if you do have any questions, put them down below in the comments, and I will reply back to each and every one of them over the course of the weekend, as long as it's not personal. So get them jotted down, and make sure you subscribe. First and foremost, it's free. The more reviews that subscribe, it just helps the channel to grow. More people know about it, and people know about my work. And make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a video from myself when I drop one. And make sure that you, like I say, continue to support the channel on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. And that brings me now to an end. And thank you very much for tonight. These have been great as ever. Until then, stay safe, keep well, keep it tuned, and away the lads.